How we doing, Jets fans? I'm Glenn Naughton with Jet Nation Radio and JetNation.com. Be sure to log on to JetNation.com where you can register and become a part of what is the most active Jets message board on the web. Day 2 of the NFL draft is underway. Getting in a little bit late here. Weren't sure we were going to do anything here. But then I thought, you know what? Sitting here watching the draft anyway, may as well hop on, go live, talk in the chat with folks about what's going on, pull up some player highlights. So as these guys go, whether it's the Jets or not, we'll try to throw up a couple of plays for each player. We don't have every player. We're not the truck, but we do have several hundred players in our library. We weren't doing that last night because we were talking and going through each pick. Since it's just me at the moment, I'll pull up some player highlights and go through the picks that that have already taken place in the second round. The Bills went with Keon Coleman. The Chargers traded up and grabbed Ladd McConkey. The Falcons traded up and grabbed Ruka Rororo. And the Bills, the Bills did take Coleman. Sorry about that. Johnny Newton, great steal for the Commanders at 36. And then Jalen Polk, good pick for the New England Patriots at number 37. And pick 38 is coming in right now for the Tennessee Titans. And that actually looks like their own pick. So let's. Wow. T'Vondre Sweat, defensive tackle. Listen to this. How we doing? How we doing, Captain? So T'Vondre Sweat, listen, one of my favorite players in this class. If you watched our mock, you heard me say that he's the guy I was going to trade down and take at 42, I believe. And he went one pick earlier. Dylan Terraman took him in his mock, and then he had that DUI, and we thought, what's this going to do to him? For a moment, I thought it's going to be bad for him. Then I thought, you know what? We've seen guys do worse, and it doesn't affect their stock at all. And this didn't affect his stock at all. This is about where, again, I was taking him at 42. Here he goes at 38 to the Tennessee Titans. T'Vondre Sweat, an absolute monster in the middle of that defense, 350, 360 pounds. He's a people mover. He's a pocket collapser. He's not, people might look at his size profile and just think, okay, this is a guy who just plugs the middle and takes up space. He does do that to a degree, but he will also make your life a living hell in getting after your quarterback. Like I said, he's able to collapse the pocket. I'll see what we can find on him here. I'm sure we've got a few T'Vondre Sweat plays. And like I said, moves laterally better than you would expect. Actually, I really did like T'Vondre Sweat. I've got about 1 million plays here from him. Let's see what we got here. This is him coming up the middle, swatting a pass down at the line of scrimmage, using those long arms. This one, I believe, there you see him coming in from the right side there. We'll play that one again. From the right defensive tackle against BB, slips inside, bats the pass down, forces the incomplete pass. And this is a guy who, again, I think he's going to be a hell of a player. And we have a trade here again now. The Rams have made a trade, and their pick is in. So let's see if we can get one or two more T'Vondre Sweat highlights in there before this. Again, you just didn't know. I did hear, I forget there was somebody I was listening to that said they thought T'Vondre Sweat, because of that DUI, that he would become a day 3 pick. Obviously not the case at all. Here's T'Vondre Sweat again. Watch him up the middle. This against Oklahoma State. Looks like that hiccuped a little bit. We'll come back to the beginning. That's I don't know if you guys are getting what I'm getting. I'm getting a little bit of a blip. So we'll pull up one more and see what we can do. And Isaac Bruce coming up to make the pick for the Rams. Let's see. Here's T'Vondre Sweat on a run stuff against West Virginia. Right defensive tackle. Yeah, and then we go, so we got another DT coming off the board right here. Braden Fisk, Florida State, a guy that you heard us talk about quite a bit after the Senior Bowl. Not doesn't have the long arms you might want from a DT, but man, does he get after it? Motor off the charts. Let's see right here. We should have something on him. And it's going to be, so let's see, we got the Commanders are on the clock now. Are the Jets going to trade up? I think we would imagine that's going to happen at some point, but that doesn't mean we don't know just how high they're going to be able to get with those picks. Of course, they do have some picks to play with, but they don't exactly have the ammunition to get up into this range. So I would imagine it'll be a little bit. But here's an example of that motor you're talking about with Fisk. Again, try to get this one. He's the right defensive tackle, I believe, here. Yep. Gets taken inside, he gets spun around by the offensive lineman, turns around, locates the running back, and chases him down from behind. Not a solo tackle, but look, see the tackle, spin him around, gets his head up, locates the running back, and just gets after it. So these are some of the things you see from him. Like I said, a really good player. See if I have anything else. Well, I know I have quite a bit on Fisk. Let's see. Here he's got a good first step. Here you see that. Here we go. That first step splits the O lineman. Again, I'm getting the hiccup again. Here we go. Splits the tackle in the guard, and then he gets picked up, but still forces the quarterback out of the pocket. It's Jaden Daniels, of course, so he gets through about 6 guys. But Fisk is there in the end, near the end of the play, to get in on the tackle, which makes it that much more impressive. Again, that motor. So he's coming all the way around that end, starts getting Daniels from behind, and then he's right there as Daniels is taken down. So again, you're getting a guy basically the type of player that you want others to emulate in his work ethic. He's going to be that guy that a coach is going to say, "I wish I had 52 more guys just like him," and it's right. Charles, how we doing? Yeah, T'Vondre Sweat, Charles, but I know who you're talking about, and that's a really good. Like I said, he was the guy that pre DUI, every mock I was doing, I kept saying, where do I have to trade down to have a chance at Sweat, and it was always the early 40s, so he went right in that range. Give me just 1 second here. Let's see. And I'm hoping, of course, I'm expecting we'll be joined at some point by Dylan Terman, perhaps Chris Schubert. They'll be hopping in and out as they can. They have other stuff going on, real life work and stuff like that. This is the thing when you're living a million miles away and you work nights, then having a couple nights off during the draft enables you to do this. So we do expect to see them in a little while, though, or at some point. So again, second round so far, Ladd McConkey to the Chargers, Ruka Rororo to the Atlanta Falcons. The Commanders get Johnny Newton, Jalen Polk to the Pats, T'Vondre Sweat to Tennessee. Had a school named Texas. I thought it said Texans, and it threw me off for a second. Tennessee, and then Fisk, of course, to the Rams. And listen, he's not Aaron Donald. Nobody is. But I'll tell you what, now thinking about it, I said yesterday, I think the biggest steal in my mind last night was getting Jared Verse where you got him. Now you get Verse and Fisk. That's, if you're going to try to imagine life without Aaron Donald, you better do it by finding 2 or 3 guys who might be able to bring, combined what he brought as an individual, because he was a defensive line all in himself. So that's a good approach by the Rams. I like that. They lost a little bit of beef on that line, and now you're getting a couple of guys who can get after the quarterback. And those two, I'll tell you what, Verse and Fisk, that's going to be a tough tandem to deal with for years to come. So good job by the Rams there. And Philly is on the clock. Their pick is in. Let's see. And this was okay, so the Washington was a trade up, of course. And now the Eagles have traded up. Best players on the board. This is per ESPN. This is their best available. Cooper DeJean, Kool-Aid McKinstry. The fact you can get Kool-Aid McKinstry this late, any other year, he's a first-round pick. These receivers and tackles, folks, we said it. They have pushed a lot of guys down, especially the back of last night and the top of tonight. I think we had 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 picks were wide receivers, and that's just pushing guys down. So, and I'd mentioned it last night, if this is the year that you want a corner or you want a safety and you were at the back end of that first round, you could get one. And now if you're at the top of the second round and you got your receiver or your tackle early along with everybody else, you now have an opportunity to get a steal. There are some defensively, there's some absolute steals on the board. Remember, last night's first round started with a record 14 consecutive offensive players. So the entire country's defensive players were there from 15 onward. And now we're seeing these teams get some bargains. Do the Eagles go with DeJean or McKinstry here? Well, they took a corner last night, didn't they? Let's see. Looks like we're going to get a little speech here. Yep. See who else we find. JE says Tez Walker, Troy Franklin, AD Mitchell, Malik Washington. There's still guys there, man. JE, I'll tell you what. You know, the consensus among Jets fans, they're taking a pass catcher, and I get that. I feel the same way. But if you watch that, I didn't watch the Douglas Saleh press conference till a few hours ago, following last night's pick. Here we go. There he goes, Cooper DeJean. So Philly working on that secondary. DeJean, some feel like he's a corner. Others say he's a safety. They took a corner last night, so you imagine DeJean will be a safety, but we'll see what they do there. Either way, Philly beefing up that secondary. So going back to the presser last night, Douglas and Saleh, I felt like Robert Saleh looked like a man who was being held hostage. They were talking about Olu Fashanu, and Saleh was just the whole time like he was waiting for someone to kick in a back door and rescue him. So I don't know how he's feeling about an offensive lineman in round 1 and not having another pick until 72. But if Robert Saleh's thinking we're going to trade up to take a receiver at whatever, we're probably including pick 111 and picks beyond that. Like I might not get a defensive player till let's see to refresh my memory here. Exactly where the Jets are picking. By the way, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock. No. All right, so this is not allowing me. The ESPN. Is it another direction? No. Of course. For some reason, the Jets aren't showing up on the ESPN scroll, and it's stopping at the Giants. So I can get as far as the Giants, and then there's no Jets logo to click. Because, of course, why not? If I go here, teams. All right. It looks like ESPN has just given up on the Jets and removed them from the draft entirely because there is no Jets logo. Let me go into a different site. That's fairly annoying. Yeah, 72 in the third, but after that, JE, when we get into the hundreds is what I'm looking for. I know it's 111. And then, of course, some of the picks they added yesterday. Let's see. And now the Saints are up to make their pick. There you go. Kool-Aid McKinstry. And now, New Orleans is a team that really needed that. And you've got, again, these teams are making out with these second-round picks because there's a lot of value there. As you know, the Jets will not have a pick in this round. Well, at least as of right now, not without trading up, which is a shame because this is a spot where you would be able to get somebody that could really help you out. but let's see. My picks. Here we go. All right, so I thought it was 111. So the point I was making was if you're Robert Saleh and you know Joe Douglas is probably going to be moving up to get somebody, he's probably giving up 72, 111. If he starts, then he came up 129. Robert Saleh sitting there facing the reality that he may not get to pick a defensive player until the 150s, maybe the 120s. But obviously not something he's happy about. Openly, of course, I'll say he's thrilled to have everyone, and I get all that. But if you look at the way Saleh looked last night, he did not look thrilled, and I don't think he's going to be ecstatic over what's going to. Now, listen, there is the possibility the Jets may approach a team and trade some of next year's assets and move forward this year and get a guy in the top 100 or something like that. The Texans pick is in. This is what I love about day 2 and 3. There's no messing around. Picks just get up, get in. This is really wild, though, that the Jets are not on here, unless I'm completely out of my mind. It's all alphabetical. New England, New Orleans, NYG, and then nothing. Am I already on the Jets? Maybe that's why. Nope, I'm not. This is not the Jets. Oh, hang on. Oh, that worked. I got it. Okay. All right, so now we've got the Jets page. And so, like I said, who's on the clock? Houston. And some of the best available. Christian Harris coming out to make the announcement. And all right, so best of it, you got Ennis Rakestraw from Missouri, big physical corner. I like him a lot. Edgerrin Cooper, maybe? Nope, they go with Georgia DB, Georgia cornerback Kamari Lassiter. Has a brother who plays at Kansas and had a father who played, I believe, for the Cardinals. Kawami Lassiter. Let's see if we have anything on Lassiter. But he's again, these are starting caliber guy. Obviously, good bloodlines, good pedigree. Obviously, worked well with him, both him and his brother, both playing at a high level. Let's see if we've got Kamari because there are 2 Lassiters. Yeah, there we go. We've got Kamari against Auburn. Physical guy. You're going to see him right here. I believe this is going to be him getting in the backfield for a TFL. There you go. You see him come screaming on the blitz, number 3 there. Bottom of your screen down here. And he recognizes the play. Once he sees it, gets in there, doesn't hesitate to wrap up. And, that's I say that all the time. I understand that that's not the key reason why guys are drafting corners, but I do, as a fan, sometimes when you see guys who are unwilling to tackle and giving up easy yards, just, be it a physical mismatch or whatever the reason, guys just don't like getting there, making business decisions, as we say, right? When guys are doing that and not making plays, that to me is beyond frustrating. Let's see. This is against Missouri, I believe. Lassiter again. Yeah, thanks, John. I was finally able to pull it up on the right page. Left sideline or toward the left sideline. Gets in there. That looks like it's going to be a completion. Just beyond the line of scrimmage. But Lassiter gets in there, gets a hand in there. Here you see him lined up in the slot. Breaks out on an out route. Lassiter is able to get in there. I think he even hits him. I think he times the hit right and prevents the completion. So Lassiter, good cover guy, good, as I said, physical, not afraid to wrap up, not afraid to hit. So it's those guys who can do it all, and especially when you've got a team like the Jets, when they're looking at guys, they're going to be looking for something similar because they, defensive minded coaches aren't gonna be too willing to go after DBs, any defensive players really that are going to hesitate to tackle. So going over some of the best remaining, and right now the Cardinals pick. The Cardinals are the pick is in, so that'll be up in just a minute here. But you got Ennis Rakestraw from Missouri, the corner, really good player. Marshawn Kneeland, the guy we discussed him the other day because I had honestly not watched him yet. He's one of the last guys I watched. and it was last week because he was a name I had written down because I knew he was a draftable prospect. Let's get this out of here. I knew he was a draftable prospect, and once he was taken, um, once I got around to watching him, I thought he was extremely impressive. Um, Good first step for a guy that big and really sort of power at the point of attack. He was a guy that would jolt offensive linemen on contact. Charles says, "Good evening. Enjoyed your first round last night. I wanted Sweat for the Jets. Same here, man. Wanted to trade down and T'Vondre Sweat. I was kind of thinking, based on what some of the experts were saying, I thought, well, maybe the Jets can get him in round 4 or 5 because of this DUI. Obviously not. That I'll tell you what. My next favorite guy is McKinley Jackson. Jackson and Sweat were my two favorite DTs coming into this thing. Sweat obviously much bigger than any of them. Let's see. You like Hicks, who I'm a big Hicks guy. I like Hicks. I like Mustafa a lot. Those are probably my two top guys. But there's some other guys like later around Evan Williams. Couple other guys, names escaping me at the moment. But I think Walker, Tez Walker, I think is a possibility in the 70s. Let's see. Why didn't the Jets trade? I think they're going to at some point. We're sitting at, what are we at, pick 43? They've still got 30 picks till the Jets are on the clock. I would imagine they're going to trade up before that. That's part of the reason I thought, you know what, I'll just jump on because we don't know when the Jets are going to be on the clock. Let's just get on, talk prospects, engage in the chat a little bit. So, yeah, Jets, I would imagine, will trade up. But I'll tell you what, if enough receivers go to where the Jets are feeling like there's not a guy left that we feel is worth giving up extra 3s and 4s or extra 4th-round picks for, they might just stay put. But, again, we don't know that it's a receiver. There could be a defensive guy that's falling who they love. Let's see, Jets have capital in 24 and 25. Well, I said that a minute ago, Charles. Maybe the Jets do move forward with using some of next year's picks. Again, still waiting on the Cardinals pick. The Jets are quiet. The Jets are very quiet. They don't have a 2, and they don't have enough ammo to get up into this range. Again, unless they're willing to use next year's picks. And some teams don't always want that. Sometimes teams are like, no, there's value on the board now. We want it. We would rather have a guy with this grade in this spot than hope something similar happens next year. So that could be part of it too. JFM is trade bait. I mentioned that. He's probably the only guy they could dangle as trade bait, to be honest. If you look at quality players on the Jets roster that other teams might want to have, JFM is probably the only guy. You could say DJ Reed, but they're going to extend. I would hope they're going to extend him. But right now, John Franklin Myers and DJ Reed are the only high value players with 1 year left on their deal. And I think with the Jets need to extend both of those guys. That's really the way to go there. So let's see. Former lineman Leonard Davis up here for the Cardinals pick. And so, yeah, JFM, I wonder, and this isn't, listen, I'm not talking about getting great value here. And actually, I guess not getting a wide receiver last night hurt it. My thought was if you get Odunze, do you then give Lazard away for a similar, like a Zach Wilson type thing? Give us your 7, give us your 6 for our 7 and Alan Lazard. Because if they'd gotten a receiver, and I guess it applies a little now if they get a receiver, and Max Melton just went to the Cardinals. He's the guy that the Jets had in for a visit, local guy, Rutgers. Really quick guy, quick and fast, outside guy. Could probably play on the inside. He is athletic. And they're showing some of his highlights here. I'm not sure how much I have on him as the smaller school guy. So JFM, I was talking about Lazard. Alan Lazard is due $12 million. If the Jets add a receiver in this draft and Lazard becomes like a guy who's in competition to be receiver 4, and by that I mean not a slot guy, but although he can be a big slot, I think $12 million for a guy that far down the depth chart. If you can trade him, and this is the thing, the decision the Jets have to make. If they deal him, they're still paying him 8.5. But do you want? He's gonna be a malcontent. He was saw a little bit of sulking last year. $8.5 million, pay him to go somewhere and add a 6th round pick, give up a 7 or something in that range. It'll be. I mean, we did hear earlier this offseason, didn't we, that the Jets were going to or the Jets had brought his name up in trades, and they were trying to get teams to take him off their hands. So maybe you wait till round 4, 5, 6, and you see a team that you think, oh, they could have used a receiver and they didn't really get someone in this draft. Let's call and see if they'll take Lazard off our hands. This is the Raiders up here picking. Like I said, love this. The picks just roll through. Oh, there you go. That's a great pick for the Raiders. JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, absolute monster. Said it before. Thought he was the best. Thought he was the best player in Mobile. Flawless technique. Let's see if we should have a little bit on him. Let's see. This is Jackson Powers Johnson right up the middle. Look at the power. Nope, that's the wrong play. Womp womp. Let's see. Click the wrong icon. Obviously, I've literally, guys, I have about 7,000 plays here. Some of them going back to last year, but for this year, there are many. Let's see. JAC. No. But yeah, for the Raiders, this is a nice start to the draft for them. Really nice start for them. Oh, this one. Okay, this play I think I may have tweeted a couple weeks ago. Watch this. Jackson Powers Johnson from the center spot gets spun around. I'm going to go to the. I'm not sure I've ever seen this. Gets completely spun around. Does a 360. He's looking at the running back, gets his bearings, comes downfield, and boom, blows that guy up. That's what you're getting with Jackson Powers Johnson. Effort, technique when he's not having to run down the field to catch up to these defenders. Jackson Powers Johnson, phenomenal player. Great pick by the Raiders. Nice job by them early on. And the Packers pick is in, I believe, I think the Jets would be pick. I think this is the Jets pick, if I'm not mistaken, from the Rodgers deal. Let's see. Yeah, so there's a report out there now. Let's see. Who's the Packers picks coming in? So Connor Hughes is claiming. Let's do this first. All right, Packers take Edgerrin Cooper. Texas A&M. To some people, it was between him and Peyton Wilson for the best linebacker in this class. So yeah, Cooper goes to the Packers. Like I said, some thought that that he was the best linebacker in this class. And if you take into account age, injuries, and stuff like that, you take him over Peyton Wilson. But I love Peyton Wilson. I would gladly go there. But I was just starting to say, someone just sent me a tweet. Connor Hughes claiming the Jets are actively trying to move up into the second round to get a receiver. Here's the problem, folks. A lot of the receivers are gone. You know, they went. We saw at the back end of round 1 last night. We saw 4 receivers in the final 5 picks. And then today, let's see, let's go to each round. So round 1, look at how round 1 closed out at wide receiver. We saw Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas went 23. Then we saw Worthy at 28, Xavier Worthy, Ricky Pearsall at 31, Xavier Legette at 32. And then once today kicked off, it was right into the wide receivers again. Keon Coleman, 33, Ladd McConkey, 34, Jalen Polk, 37. That's a huge chunk of this class going in a 10 or 12 pick span. The second tier almost completely wiped out. So now you have to wonder, is there a guy on the board that we feel is worth trading up for? So let me take a look here. Looking at best available by position. So you've got A.D. Mitchell, where reportedly some concerns with practice habits, attitude, things like that. The Jets aren't trying to bring. I don't think the Jets are going to be bringing guys like that in. Here we got Chris Schubert checking in. Let's bring Chris in. Christopher, my friend, how are we doing? Chris, live from the beach in Hawaii. How are we doing, buddy?
No, not in a beach in Hawaii, in a parking lot. It feels like this is now two times.
In Arizona, Hawaii. Sunny.
True.
It's sunny.
It is sunny. Second time I'm doing this show from a parking lot. I don't know what it means, but it's just weird that I've done it twice. So here we are.
It happens. We do what we got to do.
Yeah, so I'm here. I'm actually going to see the Savannah Bananas. I think I said that last night on the.
Yes, you did say that with the fam. That's great.
The family is on their way meeting me here. They have the tickets, so I'm just sitting here, and I said, you know what? Let me hop on with my friend Glenn here while my battery still has some stuff, and we can talk about what the Jets may or may not do here.
I think, I just put this message to you guys in the chat. I think so many receivers have come off the board in a short span. The Jets might be sitting there saying, is there a guy worth giving up a bunch of draft capital for now? They may have thought a Leggett or a Pearsall, yesterday when they made their pick. They may have thought one of these guys were going to fall. Ladd McConkey, I mentioned him last night. All these guys are gone now. I'm looking right now, Chris. I'm just going down the list. A.D. Mitchell is the top-rated player available per ESPN. Now, here's this guy we've talked about, maybe some work ethic issues, maybe some attitude issues, so you're not going to want to go there. Jalen McMillan from Washington, all three of those guys did a really nice job last year, but you got to wonder with him what kind of DBs was he facing when he had some of the other receivers they had on that team. Troy Franklin, again, speedy, but not really, not a guy who's going to do a lot after the catch. Now, listen, if he runs by you, he's going to do a lot after the catch, but he's not going to break tackles and beat people. Right. You've got Brendan Rice, you've got Roman Wilson, you've got Javon Baker. So some good players there, but are any of these guys good enough that if you're the Jets, you say, we're going to give up 3 draft picks to move up and get that guy?
Yeah, I think, and again, I have my phone. I don't have everything else in front of me to be able to look at where I personally had a lot of these guys. But I would say Malachi Corley would be the guy I would feel the most strong about moving up to go get. But if not, Glenn, let me throw 2 names at you that I think would be there when they pick at 72, and also I think could potentially be there in the 4th round, depending on how the board breaks down. But I wouldn't be against a Jacob Cowing or a Luke McCaffrey if you miss on.
I love both those guys, and McCaffrey, right? Yeah.
If you miss on this tier of receiver, or you don't like these guys as much, right? You don't like a Roman Wilson, you don't like that tier of player, then maybe you wait. Yeah, like maybe you wait and you see the way the board comes to you at 72. Now, I'll tell you this though, we're talking about wide receiver. There might be another position they feel or a certain player that they love. I
brought that up earlier. We're all assuming wide receiver, but they could move up. I don't know. Did you catch? I obviously didn't watch it last night because we were live. Didn't watch it for most of today because I was still angry. But eventually got around to watching the Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh presser. Robert Saleh looked like he was being held hostage. Like he looked about as unhappy. He looks happier after a loss than he looked last night. And I'm wondering, is he thinking, I don't get a defensive player until we're into the hundreds because we just took this guy. We don't have a 2. We're going offense at 72. I'm not getting an offensive player until 130 something. Or defensive, I should say.
He got a defensive player of the year 2 years ago in Sauce Gardner, and they reached on an edge last year for him in Will McDonald. And they also took Jermaine Johnson. So if Robert Saleh is upset, and I didn't see it, but if Robert Saleh is upset because this team is focusing on the other side of the ball, Robert Saleh can go be angry someplace else. Listen, this team, this pretty set defense.
I don't know. I'm not saying I know he was. He just looked like he was almost sulking, but maybe he was tired. These are long days for these guys. It's entirely possible Robert Saleh was tired.
You got any more picks for me? I can't see if any of these picks are coming in.
They're at commercial right now. What's the most recent you've got?
I saw who the Panthers traded up to take.
So let's see. The Panthers, where are they? Oh, the Jonathan Brooks.
Yes.
Yes, that's the latest. That came in while we were talking.
Connor Hughes is tweeting them out. He is in front of the broadcast and he is firing them off here on round 2. So
yeah. I'm even though the Jets aren't on the clock, I'm trying to avoid that. The Giants are on the clock, so interest here only because some of our viewers may have relatives who are Giants fans. And
so let's think about this real quick. They took Malik Neighbors. Could they be no? I don't know if there's a quarterback that's going to go in the 2nd round.
Spencer?
Maybe.
I hope not. I'm hoping he's there.
No, I hope so. That pushes these wide receivers down another spot.
That's true. But I mean, I'm thinking in terms of if the Jets are interested in him. But let's see. The Giants, yeah, they got Neighbors. Who's on the clock or who's on the board now? Best available.
I mean, I'm just trying to think like Zach Frazier on the interior. Haynes, BB are available.
How are the corners? TJ Tampa's out there. He's a good one.
It was a big run on corner, right?
Ennis Rakestraw's still out there. I mentioned Nealon. They better not get Peyton Wilson. I don't want to watch him as a Giant. But they still need receivers and tight ends, don't they? They just need even with Neighbors. I think Chris may be frozen on us here. We'll pull that down, bring him back up if his face starts moving again. And yeah, the Giants, they could go, they don't know what's going on with Waller. The rumors he may retire. Maybe Jatavion Sanders here, Cade Stover, maybe probably early for Stover. But Sanders, a lot of people, again, to a lot of folks, he's the number 2 guy in this class. Charles says, sorry, I didn't get to this right away, Charles. Let's see what we got. Jets are in a championship season. They should go after Devontae Walker and Jaden Hicks. I would, again, really like both those guys. You could use Lazard. Let's see. Yeah, Tampa's the guy I just mentioned who could go to the Giants here. But I wouldn't be shocked if they took a tight end. Use Lazard in the trade. Again, Lazard you can use, but other than getting you a few slots, he's not going to get you much. You're going to give up a pick and get this Tiki. Nobody likes Tiki. I don't think Giants fans like Tiki. Jets could use Lazard. Jody, Charles, like I said, man, there are really good players falling. Put yourself in the Jets. If you were a Jets fan right now, would you want them to be trading down to get extra 4th, 5th round picks and give up on some of the value that's there in the second round right now? He's not missing an action. And in fact, like I said, Connor Hughes tweeted a few minutes ago, Jets are actively trying to get up into the second round now, presumably to get a receiver. And, the Giants is a nice pick. Tyler Nubin. Tyler Nubin is going to be one of those guys. Well, I think he is. We speak so definitively, like we know what's going to happen. We don't. But Nubin's a guy who I think he's going to be, I think because he didn't have a great pro day, he fell a little bit. But I think he's one of the top safeties in this class. Giants take Tyler Nubin, Chris. I think that's going to be a good pick. Just a good football player who I think probably fell because his pro day or workout was terrible. His 40 time was atrocious. But similar to what we saw with Brian Branch last year, right? Good football player who didn't have a great workout, but, plays faster than his 40 time. I think he's a good player. It's surprising. I thought they would have gone another direction, but I do like that player. Are you frozen again? I'm speaking to a frozen Chris Schubert. He was able to get on long enough to stare at me like that. We'll try again, bud. Let's see. Hoping the Jets to try to move in second round, 3 or 4 impact. We could listen. I get it, man. It's a big year for the Jets. They are supposedly in a win now mode. They could certainly, somebody I've said, half jokingly a few times today when people have said to me, what should the Jets do? And I said, draft players who are going to start, especially with your early picks, but you don't have a ton of earlies. And you got to imagine with all these picks, the Jets are trying, but you don't want to get ripped off. That's the problem. You can want to move up all you want, but if you're, a team like the Jaguars right now, and the Jets call and you say, look, man, we're going to get a guy who we would normally think we'd have to be in the top 35 to get, and we're going to get him at 48. And a 4th rounder or a couple of 4th rounders isn't enough to make us move off of that because it's a great opportunity. And they go Mason Smith, DT out of LSU. Think we have some stuff on him. Like I said, I think on a lot of these players, I'll just kind of pull up highlights as we're going if there's nothing to discuss or talk about. But let's see what we got on Mason Smith. I don't think I have a ton on him. Yeah, here we go. We got I think this is an attempted run up the middle that Mason Smith snuffs out. Let's rewind here. Yep, number 0 there. He's the right defensive tackle. See him from the start of the play. Good hand placement. Gets to use the left hand stiff to long arm, get that offensive lineman off of him, and then wraps up that running back on the way past. Run stop at the line. Long arm, boom, wrap him up, drag him down. Nice job there by Mason Smith. He kind of a guy I was looking at. This is earlier than I thought he would go. I thought he might be a much later option if the Jets didn't get a guy like T'Vondre Sweat. And the next pick is it again. This, like I said, this is the greatest. But this is, I understand teams got to work their trades and all that, and you can't, not every pick can be in every 3 minutes. But I love it when this is the pace. Just keep them rolling in. Cincinnati Bengals, their pick is in. Let's see. I'm going to shoot Chris here a message and let him know what was going on. Oh, it looks like he may have. Let's see. And now Dylan, this is from Dylan just sent me a tweet. All right, just saying some of the receivers the Jets like who are still on the board: Malachi Corley, Roman Wilson, Troy Franklin. I like them in that order. I would take Malachi Corley first, Roman second, Franklin. I think I might prefer Tez Walker over him. But Franklin might be the fastest of the group. Oh, Chris is trying again. Let's give this another shot. We good? We got you?
Glenn.
I was talking to you, and I thought you were listening very intently.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, look what a good friend and how attentive he's being to every word I'm saying. And then I thought, oh, he's frozen. He's just not moving.
Yeah. So if I can explain myself, it's very hot here in Arizona. The sun kind of beats down. The phone overheated and just completely just decided we're going to restart on you.
Gotcha.
So that's what I had.
Yeah, I've been in heat like that when phones just shut down because they're like, no, can't. What do they do in the Middle East? How do they use their phones there? It's never cool there. It's always 500 degrees. There goes Chris Jenkins off the board to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay, that's a good pick by them.
That is another legacy. We had Lassiter, whose dad played in the league. Kawami Lassiter's kid went a few picks ago. Lots of kids in this draft. Lots of kids. For you Jets fans out there, a lot of Jets kids are playing in big-time college football right now. Victor Green's kid is a running back at North Carolina. Ray Mickens' kid is a DB at Clemson. There's a handful of them out there. Chad Pennington's kid is a QB at Marshall.
What did I miss? What has occurred? I know I just got this last pick, but Brooks was on the board. He got taken.
Let's see
by the Panthers.
Here.
What happened when my phone decided that it realized it lived in Phoenix and turned off? Okay.
You missed Tyler Nubin to the Giants. I just think good player. Didn't expect that there. I think kind of like Brian Branch. I think he had some terrible workout numbers that hurt his draft stock, but just a good player at Minnesota. Then Mason Smith out of LSU went to the Jaguars with the next pick. And then Chris Jenkins went to the Bengals just now. I'm not sure if you saw the tweet that Dylan shared with us from Zach Rosenblatt saying the Jets like, of those still on the board, the Jets like Corley, Roman Wilson, and Franklin out of Oregon.
Yeah, I think those are the three, all right? And the more picks that come in and the more
Connor Hughes says they're actively trying to trade up.
Right. And the closer we get to an acceptable range for them to move up, now Joe Douglas is going to be in this weird spot because he might be able to play this game now where if he likes all three of them pretty evenly and the board is like going in a totally different direction, you can just wait.
Here comes another pick.
Okay.
If we see a run on tackles, for example, DTs. There goes my guy, Mike Sainristil to the Washington Commanders. Love me some Mike Sainristil. Guy can play inside, play outside. Picked up the position extremely quickly after being moved over from wide receiver. He's a guy. Yeah, I love some Mikey Sainristil. Shame he won't be there. But again, not a viable option for the Jets at this point in time. But that's a shame.
But not a wide receiver.
Exactly. That's the important part. Let's see. Here we go. Here's some Mikey Sainristil for you. I'm doing some clips, Chris, because I got them. So why not? Let's start this one over here.
This is not
No,
fair. They're
this
playing
is
Nebraska.
no, this is him playing wide receiver. So I pulled that clip because he played receiver for a little bit when he first went to Michigan. But he's not drafted there. He's not drafted to play that position. So we're gonna grab a different Mike Sainristil highlight.
The fact that you just have clips at a position he no longer plays is great.
These clips go back a few years. I was just saying. Here we go. This is against Bowling Green. I love the way he adjusts to that ball. The ball's it's underthrown. He's running stride for stride with the receiver. They both recognize it's underthrown, but Sainristil still realizes it soon enough to get to stop and get a hand in front of the receiver and bat that ball away on a deep ball down the left sideline. So he's again great play recognition and a great job making that switch over from receiver. I'm not sure who's on the clock now, by the way. The Steelers are on the clock with pick 51. And I think this is the first time tonight I've seen the countdown clock. Every pick is coming in so quickly. All I ever see is, and there it is, the pick is in. So constantly. This is Mike Sainristil against Michigan. I'm sorry, against Maryland. Michigan versus Maryland. There's Tua's brother. Rolls out. Sainristil jumps in front. Bats it away. Incomplete pass. Just a guy who he's only going to get better. He's young, super athletic, appears to be, the type of hard worker you want. And when you got a guy like that who's new to the position, you expect him to just keep getting better. So good job by him and a great pick there. When I was looking months ago before I realized Sainristil was going to be climbing boards like this, when we recognize these guys ourselves early in the process and no one else is talking, we think, oh, maybe nobody else will notice him. Maybe he'll be a day 3 guy. And then a few weeks ago, Eric Galko has him going in the first round. And you're like, oh, man, he really is climbing up boards. But, yeah, once I realized, Michael Carter's going to be a free agent, Sainristil's going to be a great slot, I kind of had in the back of my mind maybe they steal him at some point, but that wasn't realistic. Steelers on the clock now, Chris. We've got, let's see who's available. Again, the best available. And again, this AD Mitchell stuff, I think there's something to it with the work ethic and the attitude. Right? So he shouldn't be there. He's been the best player on the board since I logged on this morning. Well, this evening. Ennis Rakestraw still out there. Marshawn Nealon still out there. Junior Colson, the Michigan linebacker, is there. TJ Tampa still there. Peyton Wilson, NC State linebacker.
He's a guy to keep an eye on.
Who's that?
Peyton Wilson's a guy to keep an eye on because I think
about him earlier.
Talent-wise, he's a first-round talent, but the injury profile is what hurts him there. And I when we have players like this, the question is which team gets the appetite the quickest to where they feel comfortable enough to say, you know what, a late third-round pick on Peyton Wilson, we'll take our chances. Like, at what point does that risk assessment pan out for a specific team? So that'll be something to keep an eye on here. Because I think he might get his name called tonight. I do.
I think so. A guy a couple spots behind him, another good linebacker out of North Carolina, Cedric Gray, who I really like. Cole Bishop, I think one of the better safeties in this class, still on the board. Again, the belief is the Jets are working to get up for a receiver, as they should be. Let's see. All
right, Glenn, I'm going to make the Steelers pick my last selection, and then I'm going to be out of here.
All right, sounds good. It's like I said, it's in, so they should be up here briefly or momentarily announcing it. You just hope you don't get a retired player who does a 10-minute speech, Every now and then they bring
That's fair enough.
Here comes a retired player. It's been a while since he's been in front of a big crowd, gets a little excited, wants to go through some memories of the old days. It happens. I remember my first game in Detroit back in 1974. Let's see. All right, Steelers are on the board. Who have the Steelers taken so far? I forget.
They took Troy Patanu.
Okay. Here we go. I was just going to say, if they haven't taken an interior lineman yet, Zach Frazier. I said last night, I thought they would go round 1. I thought it was going to be Barton or JPJ in round 1. I think I may have even mentioned Frazier as a possibility, but here's another really good player who's fallen. And this is a great pick for the Steelers.
Man, this is a home run for them. Think about what they did for Justin Fields and Russell Wilson to get Fatanu and to get Zach Frazier to build your offensive line around. That's really good by Pittsburgh.
And I think I'm going to pull up my Zach Frazier clips here. If I'm not mistaken, some of these are from 2 years ago because that's when he first caught my eye, and I started pulling highlights of him. Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Well, Glenn, this is where I bid you adieu then, if your computer is working against you.
Here we go. This should do it. No, made a liar out of me. No Zach Frazier clips. I know I have. The problem is I've pulled so many thousands of clips. I have so many memory cards with clips on them that I knew some would get lost as I condensed them all into my 1 terabyte external drive. I'm sure some through the cracks.
Here's my parting analysis in lieu of the Zach Frazier highlights. He's a very good interior offensive lineman, and he's going to be a problem.
Well, that was a short analysis, Chris. Maybe. Oh no, here is he coming back? Is he back?
I'm here.
We lost you. We got interior lineman, and then you shut down and you came back.
You know, Glenn, when the football gods tell you it's your time to leave, you just leave through the back door. And so that's exactly, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave through the back door here and just we'll see what happens.
Thank you very much. Have a good one. Enjoy the Savannah Bananas with the family. Have a good one.
See you later.
All right, so Chris is off to watch the Savannah Bananas, who I've said before, I'm not really a baseball guy anymore. I stopped following it years ago because it stinks. That was my first love, though. First sport that I fell in love with was baseball. Played it for many years, high school, and some grown-up rec leagues after that. But it stinks now. It's like home run derby, launch angles, and shifts, and we're going to put the entire defense on one side of the field, and the guy's still going to hit it there. Hey, guy, we put everybody in one spot. Okay, that's where I'm going to hit it. Dopes. Let's see. The Colts have made a trade to move up. They've swapped with the Panthers. This is kind of annoying because I'm sure that I'm trying to look at as many things as possible, and I'm sure that when my mic is over there and I'm looking over there, that the audio is not very good for that. I apologize. Charles, back in the chat, real quick. Well, this is actually my info. This draft for the Jets so far doesn't look good. They should move up in the second round. Again, that second round is winding down now. And again, if the Jets, here's the good thing. And Chris kind of touched on it. If there's 3 receivers, and I'm sure there's more than that, but let's say there's 3 receivers they really like, the Jets can just stay put until maybe only one of them is left. And then they, okay, now we have to move up if we want one of our guys. But maybe that guy, maybe they were trying to trade a half an hour ago. And now here we are. How many more guys have come off the board? The fewer slots you're moving up, the cheaper the price should be. So really, if there are 3 guys the Jets are comfortable with, and again, looking at the board, there should be more than that. But even if there's only 3, then sit back and wait for 2 of them to go and then make a call and say, look, we want to move up. And because, again, instead of jumping 15, 20, 25 slots, and there goes A.D. Mitchell to the Colts, who we had talked about a few minutes ago. Again, rumored to be some character concerns. Are they true? We don't know. He's putting on his best face, but he does not look thrilled. Listen, the guy thought he was going to be, thought he had a legitimate chance to be a first-round pick. So you think you're going to go in the top 32 when you're getting picked at 52? That's not going to, putting on a smile is going to be the easiest thing in the world. Okay, yes, but look, good player. Lots of tools. I think Scott Mason mentioned diabetic. I mean, a few people have talked about it. Scott talked about it last night. Diabetic, maybe not managed. Maybe his diabetes not managed well, which has led to some moments where he's not the most approachable, pleasant person. We'll see about that. But Charles Peyton Wilson, you heard us talk about him. I like Cole Bishop a lot. He's a guy that stood out to me at the Senior Bowl. If the Jets are going to go defense, I wouldn't mind either of those guys. Again, Peyton Wilson is up there with Mike Sainristil for me. Those are two of my favorite guys in this class that I would love to see them in green and white, but there's just not a need, not a big enough need. I think if the Jets go linebacker, it's going to be in the, with one of those 7th rounders. Kalen DeLoach out of Florida State, who I really like. Joe Douglas is active throughout the 2nd round, whether he has picks or not. Let's see. MLB isn't allowed to shift anymore. Just saying. Yeah. I saw that somewhere in his stories, Frankie. And I get that, which is, again, the fact that it existed is kind of dumb. It's just, I don't know. I lost it. And like I said, loved it. Played third base from the time I was 11 till my early 20s, and used to love playing baseball. But the salary thing. And look, how weird is this? Quick baseball segue. I was from the Bronx. I used to take the D train to Yankee Stadium anytime I can get $20 in my pocket on a Sunday. Sat in the bleachers many, many, many times watching a whole lot of bad baseball before the Yankees were good, and I loved the Yankees. Lived, breathed, and ate Yankees, really. I mean, that was, and then, then the Jets came along and I got into football. But even as a Yankee fan, I used to find it like, they won their ring. The first few rings it wasn't as egregious because even though they had one of the highest, like in 96 when they won, I think they had the 2nd highest salary. I think Baltimore, the Dodgers or somebody were ahead of them. But when they were winning those first few, like they had a high payroll, but it wasn't ridiculous. But when it got to a point where it's like their payroll was $240 million and they're getting swept by the Devil Rays whose payroll was $19 million, that's tough to stomach. And it's like, and even when you win, it's like, okay, we won the World Series. It's almost like the first Iraq War. Like we blew up Iraq. Yeah, they don't have any weapons. Like they have the 7th largest air force in the world. Yeah. Ours is bigger than like the next 10 combined. Like it's not even. I don't know how you win. It's like a bully beating up a 3-year-old and celebrating. It's like, okay. So that hated A-Rod, couldn't stand A-Rod. And so that's our baseball. I listen, anyone want to talk 80s Yankees? Have at it. Jump in the chat. I'll go back and forth with you for hours. 80s, 90s Yankees, lived it, loved it. Some of the best sports memories ever. Going back about 15 years, that's probably when I just stopped paying attention. So let's see. All we need now is a wide receiver and a stud to complement Wilson. Agreed. And I think this is one of those situations where it could work out well because initially when the round starts, you're like trade up, and they don't get it done. And I was getting worried because a lot of receivers were going, but now we have seen the receivers cool for a little bit. So now, half hour ago, it looked like there might not be another receiver on the board by this point. But teams have slowed down. They're not taking them as much. Now they're falling. So now the Jets might just be able to sit where they are. If let a couple corners, a couple safeties, a linebacker or two go in the next 10 picks, and the Jets will be sitting there at 60 thinking, all right, we're up in 12 picks, and there's still 2 or 3 guys on the board we really like. Let's keep all our picks and maybe get one of these receivers. So I'm kind of liking this aspect of it. Obviously didn't love what happened yesterday. And say, if I were the Jets, Charles, is that what you're saying? Who would I target right now? Like, for example, if I'm the Jets and I'm on the board, let's take a look at best available. Pull that up. All the best players right now, at least on here, are all defensive guys. Blake Fisher, you're not taking another tackle. Trey Benson, you're not taking a running back. Rosengarten's there. He's a guy that I thought he was a guy that I looked at and said, can you take Brock Bowers and get Rosengarten in the 3rd? But I didn't think he would make it out of the 2nd, to be honest. There were some who thought he could. Who did they take? Okay, these guys were already taken. Sorry, ESPN was showing some highlights. I thought somebody went. I wouldn't take Sanders because you're not looking for a tight end. Wow, there are not, per the ESPN rankings, not a lot of. They don't think much of these receivers. The highest rated receiver currently available. Again, this is per them. This is no idea what the Jets draft board looks like. Jalen McMillan is still out there, as well as Troy Franklin. Washington Commanders, another pick is in. Okay, but the answer, Charles, would be a receiver. We're just looking to see. No, Cooper Beebe. I love Cooper Beebe. but I just don't see them going O-line twice in a row. Brendan Rice, really like him. Roman, maybe Javon Baker. I might go for Javon Baker if I were the Jets here, but and Tez Walker, who I really like. Roman Wilson, I liked it. Super tough guy. He'll go over the middle. He'll take big shots, hop right back up. Oh, there's a good pick for the Commanders. Ben Sinnott. He, to me, I said before the draft, is he's Brock Bowers light. He's not Bowers, but he can do a lot of different things. He can line up in a bunch of different spots. Really good player. Really good player. That's a nice get for them. So, yeah, for me, like I said, it would be a receiver. Here we go. Let's just pull up the available receivers. Maybe McMillan. He is their top-ranked guy available. 6'1". But see, he plays bigger than that. I thought he was taller than that. But Troy Franklin, Brendan Rice, Roman Wilson. I might, honestly, in this spot, if I were the Jets, I would probably be looking at Roman Wilson. Yeah. And Malachi Corley. Corley, I can't even remember who wrote the draft. Me or Dylan Terraman, one of us. I think Dylan wrote the Malachi. Yeah, it was Dylan. Wrote the Malachi Corley Jet Nation prospect profile. Yards after the catch guy, super strong, lower half. The number of tackles he was able to break and run through, guys trying to wrap him up, too powerful on his lower half for guys to wrap him up. And then he goes out and bulks up top. And I've said this a few times on our show. When we got to Mobile, I think the first comment I made about any player, or at least offensive player, was Malachi Corley. And we walked out and we're looking at the players on the field, going through their drills, catching passes. And I said, God, Malachi Corley is way bigger than I thought he was. And it turns out he did. He shared some images where he's his before and afters. He's been doing some serious working out over the last several months and maybe even longer. But he is a much bigger man in person than he is on film. I can promise you that. Brown's pick is in. Love it. 54. Jets. Just stay where you are, Jets. Keep all your picks. I mean, look at that. You've got 54, so you've got 60, 70. The Jets are up in about 19 picks. And you've got Jalen McMillan, Troy Franklin, Brendan Rice, Roman Wilson, Javon Baker, Devontae Walker, Malachi Corley, Malik Washington. So someone's going to be there. Someone's going to be there. Keep your picks. Keep them. Johnny Wilson, I loved Johnny Wilson coming into this season. Unique player, just under 6'7". The way he moved, his feet, his footwork for a guy that size that enables him to move the way he does, not something you see every day. Just had way too many drops, especially coming off of what they just dealt with Alan Lazard. You're not going to take a guy this high who had that many drops. Luke McCaffrey. Love Luke McCaffrey. Bub Means, I know a lot of people like him. I feel like he doesn't play. His play speed isn't great. His time, he ran in the 4.4s, I believe. Cleveland takes a DT, Michael Hall. Again, that is a position of need for the Jets, but our focus right now is wide receivers. We want guys who are not wide receivers to go off the board. And the Jets, I feel like at this point, really should just stay put. I mean, one second. So Hall explosive, lean frame, quick through the hole, really explosive. Another player who looked good. I think day 2 or 3, he really stood out in Mobile. Day 1 wasn't as good, but after that, I think he's going to be a disruptive guy on Cleveland's interior. That's not a bad pick at all. So, all right, that's that. So let's see here. I'm going to see if I have anything on Hall. The Dolphins on the clock. Let's see. Gabe Hall. It's funny that Gabe Hall was the first defensive player in Mobile that stood out. while we were down there. He was the first defensive guy we talked about. But here we see Michael Hall, 51, left defensive. Or no, he's on the right. Right, he's over the nose. Look at the swim, the arm over, right over the center. Doesn't even touch him. Boom, untouched, spins him around, gets the running back in the backfield. Really nice player. Some people, I did see some people talk before and say that some people felt he was one of the top. I mean, he is one of the top DTs in this class. Early on in the process, there was talk of him being the number one DT, but that stuff changes so much throughout. Johnny Newton, I feel like, and I talked about this last night, it felt like all year we were talking about Johnny Newton as a top 10 pick, and he ends up going in round 2. And there was nothing he did on the football field that would have made you say, oh, maybe he's not that good. He was phenomenal. Let's see, we got Dolphins picking. Charles says he likes Devontae Walker, size and speed. We all do. The thing is, the drops in at the Senior Bowl. He had some drops. I didn't see any, but when I don't watch every single player's game. I try to watch at least 3 for every guy. If I fall in love with a player, I might watch 10. But Tez Walker, I didn't see any drops. But when you looked at his look at some of his receiving grades online, like PFF tracks drops. Like PFF don't love the grading system, but there is other data they track that's worth having. Oh, that's not a receiver. So good. Miami goes with Houston tackle Patrick Ball. Big man. That's one of the things that was funny, or just when you're at the Senior Bowl, everybody out there, all the linemen, they're all huge. But then there was Patrick Paul's head always just above the crowd. Like he was you could always pick him out right away, even without the logo on his helmet. You knew where Patrick Paul was. Huge human being, over 6'7". He might need a little time, but that's a good pick. So yeah, Tez Walker only had 60 targets, I think, because of course, again, there were issues with the NCAA. They weren't going to let him play. Then they did let him play, so he missed a few games. And he had 2 or 3 drops, which you say, oh, that's not a ton, but he did only have 50 or 60 targets. So his rate, his drops per target were higher than you would like. You couple that with the drops in Mobile. I just think drops right now, the Jets are going to be very leery. I just talked about it with Johnny Wilson. I think the Jets are going to be leery of that because of what they just had to put up with Allen Lazard. And I do think they want, and look, this isn't to say they won't take a boundary guy. I think they would like somebody who's sort of the shorter, quicker variety. But again, they could go any direction at receiver. But they're going to want somebody who can play the slot a little bit. I don't know that Tez Walker can do that. Looks like the Cowboys are making their pick. Well, the pick is not in, and there's 3:30 left on the clock. They said the car. No. See, I thought they showed the Cowboys war room. It looked like they were doing the old handshakes and high fives. So I figured the pick was in, but that was 30 some seconds ago, and they've still got the countdown clock ticking and no the pick is in notification. I would imagine they're picking here. Got to be picking here. Here we go. Uh, 2:25. They're still counting down for Dallas. So we'll see what happens there. Wow. The Cowboys, in case you didn't know, have arguably the worst running back group in the NFL. I don't know if they have a starting a running back capable of starting in the NFL on their roster. And I love Deuce Vaughn, but Deuce Vaughn's not a starter. Deuce Vaughn is a 6 to 12 touch per game guy. explosive, fun guy. Loved him coming out last year. But they are at a minute 40 left. Oh, so with the story they were just saying, Dallas has been in touch with Ezekiel Elliott about a possible contract. I think they're familiar with him. I think they know what he likes to do and does well. Jerry's the one who said Dallas was all in this offseason. So when they didn't sign any free agents, I thought, well, I guess they're going to be wheeling and dealing on draft day and getting some prime picks. They didn't do that. And they're letting it run down. I don't know if they're talking trade with somebody, but Dallas has a minute left. Well, minute 5 remaining. I think what I should be doing, honestly. Let's see here. Yeah. So let's see. No, it's Panthers. There's nothing. No one jumping the pick on. Okay, the pick is in. So Dallas, as far as I can see, the first team today to take every second of their time before getting the pick in. Let's see who is available. Best available. Like I've mentioned him a few times now. Ennis Rakestraw, Marshawn Kneeland. They've got to take a running back here. They really do. You get Trey Benson in this spot. I think Trey Benson. Jerry loves his running backs. Jerry doesn't have a running back. Benson, nice combination of power, speed. There are some other guys out there. Don't get me wrong. You can get Lynch out of USC, who I thought looked really good in Mobile. But I think I keep saying because of the Marshawn. I keep thinking Marshawn Lynch, Marshawn Lloyd. At a USC could be there. I don't think they would go Corum. I think Corum's going to be a Charger. We'll see about that. And let's see. We've got the Cowboys pick coming up to the podium now. I'm guessing maybe Wounded Warriors or injured. They got some 3 people on stage who have come up in wheelchairs. I'm not sure if it's a. Let's see. Yeah, Air Force and so we have some military vets, injured, wounded military vets coming on stage for the Dallas pick. Okay, so we'll let that play out. They're doing a speech, an announcement of some kind. So again, Jaden Hicks, if Dallas goes defense, but I think Dallas has to go offense here. And I think it has to be a running back. Let's get the whole running back list up here. Take a look at what's out there. Mention Trey Benson, Blake Corum, Marshawn Lloyd, Jalen Wright. Listen, I love Izzy Abanikanda, and I want Izzy to get some serious run this year and get a lot of playing time. But I would not be upset if the Jets used a 4th-round pick on Jalen Wright if he were still there. I don't know that he will still be there at that point. All right, so these guys are apparently from a wheelchair football league and former veterans. All right, so they're coming up to make the pick now, or announce the pick. And Dallas goes with. Oh, there you go. Wow, I really thought it would be offense. They go with the guy I mentioned earlier, Marshawn Kneeland. Really good player. Like a nice combination of size, speed, explosiveness. You'll see him at the point of attack. Really, I said earlier, he'll jolt offensive linemen and plays with a great motor. I think he 275, I think they said. Um, yeah, Daniel Jeremiah just said it. Knock you back at the point of attack. Yeah. Yeah, good player. Like I said, I'd heard his name several times, didn't have a chance to watch him till last week. And actually halfway through his second game, I messaged the co-hosts Chris and Dylan, and I was like, "Hey, I don't know if you guys have watched Marshawn Nealon, but this dude can play, and he can. So there you go. He goes to Dallas. They get a good player. And I listen. You can always get running backs later. I guess I just thought Jerry, with not having one, I thought they'd prioritize it and try to get the number one back left in the draft. Um, again, not that many. I don't know that any have gone. But I thought maybe get the best one here because you don't have one at all. Maybe if they are talking to Zeke, they feel a little bit better about their situation. I don't know about that, but who is up next? Yeah, that's a shame. I can't bring up my Nealand highlights because they just got saved the other day, and I've been so busy they're not labeled, so they would just be in a sea of plays without me being able to identify which one is Marshawn Nealand. So let's see who else is left on the board. First, let's see who's up next. Tampa Bay Bucks are up next. Defensive head coach, Jets may be familiar with, Todd Bowles. Again, Ennis Rakestraw, someone's going to get a bargain there. Competitor, tough, big, he's a guy later in his career might be a safety, really big hitter. Yeah, Charles, I was just talking about Nealand, and I mentioned him earlier. Didn't get a chance to watch him until last week, and I watched a few of his games, and I thought he was a really good player. So Rakestraw is still on the board, as is Junior Colson, linebacker from Michigan, TJ Tampa, the corner from Iowa State, Peyton Wilson, who we've talked about, Javon Bullard, safety from Georgia, Cedric Gray, another linebacker I really liked in this class, Cole Bishop, a safety. So there's some defensive options out there if that's what they want to go with. As far as receivers, folks, in fact, let's take a look here. Second round, I want to see how many picks have now passed. Okay, not as many as I thought. But if we go back, okay, so in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. In the last 19 picks, only one receiver has been taken after that flurry to start the day. Or like I said, at the end of yesterday, let's get those numbers. So as the first round closed out yesterday, we saw 3 receivers go in the final 5 picks. And then to start today, we had 1, 2, 3. We had 3 go in the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 picks, 9, 10 picks. So you had like 8 guys go or 7 guys go in 15 picks. It's 4, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so you had a run on receivers, basically. And it was, like I said earlier, I felt like they cleared out that second tier, depending on who you have in which tier, right? Everyone's got a different list, and everyone's got different this, that, the other. I know there are some who would say Corley is in that second tier. I know some might say Roman Wilson. I know after the Senior Bowl, people were loving Roman Wilson after the Senior Bowl. We were hearing his name constantly. And then all of a sudden, fell off the face of the earth. He didn't become a worse player. He just was a guy that people stopped talking about. But I think Roman Wilson can play. I think Corley can play. If I'm the Jets right now, I'm not trying to trade up anymore. I mean, I can say that now, can't I? And then we get 4 receivers going the next 5 picks, and all of a sudden you'd be an idiot. So I guess if they don't think that one of the receivers they like can fall on another 16 spots, then fine, trade up. But if you think someone's going to be there, then yeah, why give up the pick? Let's see. Let's see. Anyone up? Oh, that's a message from the from a chat group we got going. Hang on one second. Now we got the Bucks making their pick. There you go. Todd Bowles goes defense. Chris Braswell, Alabama linebacker. Not bad, really. I mean, in this spot, move this real quick. He does a nice job coming off the edge. I think again he's another guy who offers great value in this spot. So good for them. And who's up next? Yeah, Diaby. Yaya Diaby had a real big year for them. Liked him quite a bit out of Louisville last year. So good for them with that pick. So Graham Barton and Chris Braswell. That's a nice job. That's a nice job. Let's see. So they're talking about Braswell now in terms of his on-field speed, power as an edge guy, edge defender. They're saying Braswell hit 21 miles per hour. And now here come the Packers with pick number 58. Let's see who else is out there. Let's see. Javon Bullard, DB, another, not a wide receiver. And so they get I hadn't noticed that trend. I wasn't paying attention. Daniel Jeremiah just says they're creeping up on the Eagles position and drafting a bunch of Georgia Bulldogs. So we're gonna go again now. So again, best available wide receivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, again, Malik Washington, folks. He's a guy. What's this? Bleacher Report on pick 60. Oh, really? Maybe let's see how far behind I am here. This said I was live. Let's see. Let's see if this is any quicker. See, being in the UK, ESPN won't let me watch live online. That's a shame. Let's see. Let's see what this says. Thanks for the tip there, Matt. I'm gonna take a look at. I'm gonna go online and see what they offer me here. I will accept that. Blake Fisher goes to the Texans, another not wide receiver. Let's see. And Fisher is a guy, I think he might be able to move over to the left side at some point or play both spots, left and right. I could be wrong. I think he's athletic enough to try it, though. There we go. So, yeah, Bleacher Report. Bleacher Report is showing me tweets, Matt. Here we go. Oh, wait. I think I got it. which would be kind of wild if NFL Network is taking longer to get the picks in than Bleacher Report is. I am going to, and it could be that it's DAZN or DAZN. It might be the DAZN coverage more so than the NFL Network coverage. But I'm on to Bleacher Report right now. Yeah, and I think they're just saying Bills now. There you go. Cole Bishop. Look, Bills lost their safeties. They go out and get a really good player in Cole Bishop. His versatility. Got versatility. He's got smarts. He's a guy that I was hoping to see. Yeah, got that. Thanks, man. That's rough. Bishop was a guy. Utah safety. Ran in the 4, and that was something that jumped out in Mobile. I thought he ran really well, and then he tested at 4.45. So, that guy can play. Again, not just based on the 40, but I'm saying in terms of his intelligence, his athletic ability overall, and you watch him in Utah. I'm going to see what I have here on him. Yeah, here you go. This is a play. Cole Bishop gets a sack here. You can see him fighting through the blockers on the blitz. Again, a safety. He's not exactly he's not a linebacker type guy, but gets through the blockers here, gets to the quarterback. He can be a force in the box. That was so bottom left. We'll run it again. You're going to see him down here. Right down here, he's going to creep up. Running back tries to pick him up. He gets right around him, brings down the quarterback. Again, plays aggressive, plays fast, and I think he's going to be a good one. He was one of the top safeties in this class, and honestly, he's a guy that I hadn't seen much of at all, and wasn't too familiar with him until Mobile, and right away he was very early on day one. I think I actually tweeted him out as a top performer on day one down in Mobile, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a really good job by the Bills. Poyer, of course, out of there, and they go ahead and do that. So let's see who's up next. Yeah, even ESPN.com is behind Bleacher Report. What's going on here, folks? They've got the Bills on the clock. Let's see. In fact, yeah, so what do we get? Like I said, Lions are on the clock. Folks, we are, let's see. I'm going to go to round 2. Oh, there you go. Lions, and Ennis Rakestraw. There he goes. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 more picks, folks. The Jets are up in 13 picks, and they supposedly like 3 wide receivers. Stay put. Stay put. Listen, if you get intel, and teams do sometimes, it doesn't happen often, but teams sometimes get an idea what other clubs are looking at. If you know that you like 3 guys, and of these few teams left between you and them, maybe 2 of them are eyeballing someone you like, and you feel like it would be a shame to me at this point. I understand your board is your board. So I guess in the end, that's all that really matters. That's all teams are going by. They're not going by ESPN or NFL.com rankings. But they're, again, here's some of the names of the guys that are still on the board for the Jets. Jalen McMillan, Troy Franklin, Brendan Rice, Roman Wilson, Javon Baker, Tez Walker, Malachi Corley, and again, even Malik Washington. Once you get into Johnny Wilson, Bub Means, Thrash is a nice player. McCaffrey's a nice player. but Cowing, who to me, I've been mentioning Cowing and Washington together. Like one of those two would be fine. Give me one of those, those smaller but quick, explosive guys who can turn a quick completion into a touchdown. Yeah, there's still enough. You would hope there are enough guys out there that with the number of picks left till the Jets are on the board, that the Jets might just say, you know what, we're good. We're not going to give up any extra picks to move up at all. So let's see. All right. So where are we sitting right now? Lions are on the clock. Oh no, wait. No, the Lions made their pick. This is see, I've got Bleacher Report in one ear, but I've got ESPN over here because ESPN's got the best available and all that, which is easier to access. So again, Bills, Cole Bishop. I saw Jaden Hicks' name. I thought he went somewhere, but they had him as the best fit for the Lions being on the clock. Let's see. Yeah, I would happily take a lot of these guys. I'm wondering, let's see. Let me check in here and make sure. There we go. Okay. Baltimore on the clock. Baltimore's pick is in. There you go. Roger Rosengarten. So he was a guy, I think I said earlier, I wondered if he might be there at 72. I thought there was an outside chance. I saw some people say they thought he would go much higher than this. I think I kind of settled on he would be a second round pick, but that part of me thinking maybe he falls to 72 if you take a receiver at 10. Well, what ended up being 11. Rosengarten did not fall that far. Obviously played at Washington, played on the right side with the left-handed quarterback. Could see him being a guy again who moves to the left. Let's see. Yeah, Roger, he's aggressive. I love that Rosengarten. He'll come out and get you. Like if you're, you don't see a lot of tackles attack D linemen in the way he does. Washington, that team had so much talent. No wonder they went to the national championship game. And that's that was the question they just asked on Bleacher Report. How did he last this long? Like I said, I kind of settled on he'd be a second. And when you look at the run on tackles and how bad teams wanted tackles, the fact that one with his profile, with his resume, stayed out there that long, a little bit surprising. And Jason saying CBS Sports Line is as slow as ESPN. Everybody's slow. Why so slow? Why is everyone so slow here? I wonder if the picks are coming in so fast that they can't. Rich Eisen did say a few picks ago, which obviously he's wrong now. He said we're caught up. They were finally caught up with what was going on live, but it would appear fell behind again. Or again, I'm getting it through DAZN. The zone. I only learned recently that it's not. It's DAZN. ZN. Anyway. Yeah, so Rosengarten, we said it yesterday, and I'm not to take credit away from the Ravens, but I feel like every year a very good no-brainer type player falls to them, like multiple times. Tyler Linderbaum last year, they have, of course, in years past been aggressive in moving up as well. But let's see. So Rich Samini tweets out the Jets should trade up for Roman Will. Excuse me. A lot of talking. Rich Samini says the Jets should trade up for Roman Wilson, Matt Miller's comp, Santana Moss. I don't know if that's a great comp. No, I don't like that comp. I think Wilson's a lot tougher. I think his build, I think he's a lot. I could be wrong. Moss to me was a bit lankier. Both very fast. I say, I say don't trade up. Maybe somebody jumps the Jets. That's another thing. If you think a team behind you loves your top guy, the Chiefs have traded up. They are on the clock. This according to Ian Rappaport. So let's see who went. Let's pull up. I'm going to see what we have here. He hasn't. No one's taken him yet. If you're just logging in now, nobody has taken Roman Wilson. But I'm going to see what I have on him, just to kind of give folks an idea what. Let's see. And Connor Hughes nailing it. What's his name? Chris Schubert mentioned it when he came on earlier. Bleacher Report using tons of Connor's tweets, breaking these picks minutes before they're announced. So what a hustler, Connor Hughes. Good job by him. All right, so here we go. We've got Roman Wilson. I believe this is a deep ball. Yep. Down the left sideline, gets behind the DB, elevates, spinning catch in the air. And let's see it again. Lined up in the slot right here. In and up. Comes up, pulls it down. Listen, he's a guy, as I've said, I don't know why everyone seemed to go quiet on Roman Wilson after the Senior Bowl. He was getting so much hype. And I again, he's a guy that I liked going into the Senior Bowl. And then he lit it up, and there was talk of him sneaking into the first round. And then all of a sudden, he just it dried up. The talk, the Roman Wilson talk, just went away. Let's see. This is where is it? Let's see. Ennis Rakestraw, we already saw. Yeah, if I'm the Jets, yeah, Kingsley Suamataia goes to who took him? All right, I forget who was on the clock, but very athletic tackle. Oh, that was the Chiefs. The Chiefs traded up, didn't they? Yeah, Suamataia out of BYU, very athletic guy. He's a guy that I wondered, could the Jets get, because there was talk about him. People seem to be divided on him. Some say he's ready to start year one. Others say he needs time. And I thought, is he a guy you can get later on? You know, by later on, I mean way outside of where the Jets were, which obviously he did go much later. Could he be a guy you get later on and make him a starter in year one? I think we'll find out in I think we'll find out in Kansas City. Let's see. There we go. All right, so here we go, folks. We're this much closer. Where are we at now? Pick 64. San Fran on the clock. Let's see. I'm trying to recall if San Francisco has had more than one pick. I don't think they have. Of course, yeah, they took Pearsall at the end of round 1. They're not taking another receiver. So we are like 9 picks away from the Jets, folks. 9 picks away. Still have all the picks. I'm standing pat if I'm the Jets. And it's Renardo Green to San Fran per Connor Hughes. Let's see here. All right. Oh yeah, this report earlier. I don't know for those of you who missed it. The 49ers now there was talk that they were going to move Ayuk or Debo. Everyone kind of assumed Ayuk, which is what I was thinking, and then it's being reported that they're more likely to move Debo, which I don't. How many times are we going to see teams hand out these massive wide receiver contracts and then trade them a couple of years later? I don't get it. I don't get it. Yeah, that's weird. Am I live now, Brendan? Yes, I am. We're live. We're trying to go pick by pick, and San Fran pick is in. Oh yeah, I mentioned that a minute ago. Again, Connor Hughes. I don't know. I don't know what Connor's doing. Who Connor knows, but he's breaking all these things. So I mean, let Corley or Roman Wilson fall, and I will be ecstatic. I would imagine it's got to be Wilson or Corley. But there are, I mean, listen, I say those two as if there's not a few other guys out there who I would gladly take. Though, but yeah, Wilson and Corley probably my top guys. Javon Baker I like, but yeah. Uh yeah, give us one of those two and it's a win. I said a couple times leading up to the draft, my ideal scenario would be you get Bowers and Corley and you get two of the best yards after catch guys in the draft. Adding both of those guys would have been huge. Let's see. Let's see what happens here. All right, so 8 more picks till the Jets are on the clock. And on the one hand, I say keep your picks. Connor Hughes says you should trade up, and I'm thinking, no. I just saw this tweet. The problem is teams behind you know you want a receiver if you're the Jets. If you're somebody who wants Corley or you think you like the same guy the Jets do, there's a little bit of danger of getting jumped. Oh, has it been a trade up? They've done it. The Jets have traded up. They are on the clock for the first pick of round 3. This has got to be Malachi Corley or Roman Wilson. And I really hope the trade comp wasn't a whole lot to move up 7 spots in the 3rd round. Hopefully you give up a 4, at worst 1 pick. Hopefully less than that, honestly. You're moving up a few spots. Let's see. Let's go Jets. Let's see if Dylan Terraman is free and able to log in. He said he was going to try to hop on live if they got to make this pick or when the Jets were on the clock for this pick. And let's see. All right. All right. There you go. Malachi Corley it is. Fantastic. That Corley or Wilson. And the Jets get Malachi. Great move. You got one of the two best yak guys in the draft, right? As I said, you missed Bowers, you got Corley. Now you've got a guy who can make plays after the catch, which is exactly what the Jets needed. As I talked about earlier, the powerful lower half, the ability to break tackles, run through guys, and it's exactly what the Jets need. It's you can't not like this pick. Well, you can, but I don't know how. I don't know how you would not be happy about that. You have every reason to like him. Let's see if we can pull some stuff up on him now. On Corley. And like I said, we'll see if Dylan's going to hop on here in a minute. But very happy with that selection. And with 2 4s, don't be surprised if the Jets trade up again. Or, sorry, trade up full stop. Let's see. So here we go. Here's some Malachi Corley. Actually, give me a second after this plays. I'm gonna tweet this one out. Maybe I'll find a different one. I don't want to. Yeah, there's a better one. But that's against Troy, so it's like, all right, let's settle down. No disrespect, Troy, but Yep, and that's they just said it on Bleacher Report, and this is what we've talked about. Several people have talked about it. The comp for you can see why he gets compared to Debo. Yeah, let's see. This is the play I was looking for. I saw breaks tackles in the title. I thought this was it. Broken tackles and then the tightrope. Let's start this from the beginning. Top of your screen, dump it out to him, runs him over, and then tightropes it down the sidelines. Plenty of speed, plenty of power. This is a guy that will pair very nicely with Aaron Rodgers for the same reasons that we thought Brock Bowers would pair nicely. You're getting a guy who can take the short passes and take him the distance. So let's see, or at least make big plays. Big play guy. Yeah, he's as they say, right? A wide receiver who plays with a linebacker mentality. That's the way I've always felt about Corley. So we're gonna there we go. We're gonna share this one on Twitter that I let's see. And the trade details. Someone just told me in a chat, have a couple of different chats going. The Jets only give up a 5th round pick, and that really, that sounds about right because you're moving up a few spots in round 3. There's really not a reason it should be more than that. So that's big time. And there we go. I would recommend, folks, I'm going to pull it up now on here and I will tweet it out. You can get me on Twitter at JNRadio_Glenn. So there is a Malachi Corley player prospect profile on JetNation.com. You can, if you just Google JetNation Malachi Corley profile, and I'm going to tweet that out right now. I think I may be overwhelming my computer a bit here with all the streaming and the chatting and the live draft. Well, actually, that's on a different computer, but even still, let's close that down. And actually, we're gonna go without highlights for a little bit. Here we go. I think that might be what's slowing me down. Let's see. Yeah, and Corley, like I said, the big thing with him to me is the way he changed his body composition, the work he put in. No, that's no good. the work he put in to remake himself and become a more physical player. I mean, he already played with that that mentality, that attitude. Here we go. So and now Trey Benson goes to the Cardinals. Who cares? We're pumped about Malachi Corley. No, but that's a good player for them. That's a good job. But here we go. Let's shoot that out there. Okay, great. So yeah, I just tweeted that out again at JN Radio_Glenn GLENN. It's actually just at the bottom. It's right there. Also, check it out. Just tweeted out his Jet Nation player profile. So there we go. That's a really good move for them. It gives you that guy, like I said before with Bowers. It gives you that guy who fills a need in terms of having a player who plays to Aaron Rodgers' strengths and can make plays after the catch. So in what the Jets gave up to get Corley, a round 5 pick reportedly, they could still be in position. Let's see, teams. There we go. Oh, damn it. So weird. There we go. So you got him. So the Jets still have 3 4s, a 6, and a 7. And one of your 4s is pretty early. You got the 11th pick in round 4. All right. You can't not like that. Again, they traded up. If you gave up a 5, you move on. It's not a big deal. I just didn't like the idea as the board was falling, trading up 20, 25 spots, which is apparently what they were trying to do. That's sometimes this. So Connor Hughes is saying the Jets made multiple attempts to trade up to get Corley. Couldn't get it done. They waited and then traded it, and then trading up for less, and which is the point I was making. As that player you want gets closer, the price goes down. So that worked out. 79 catches for 894 last year, 11 touchdown receptions, first team all conference, and set the Western Kentucky record with 259 receptions. This from Dennis Waszak. Love Dennis, friend of the show. Dennis Waszak of the Associated Press. You can follow him at DWAZ, DWAZ 73. Also, for those rock music, heavy metal enthusiasts, Dennis is a great source of that stuff as well. Let's see. I think oh, wow. I've been watching Bleacher Report for, I don't know what, 20, 30 minutes now. I just realized that was the dude from PFF. I just heard them call him Renner, and I was like, what? Apparently he's Bleacher Report now. So let's see. Let's see if Dylan's coming on. There we go. Yeah, that is in fact Mike Renner. Now looks like him. Who's on the clock now? Oh, okay. So Brandon Coleman goes to the Commanders. Nice job by them. All right. So all right. Okay, so you've added a left tackle. You've added a weapon as a pass catcher. Where does this leave Allen Lazard? He was a big slot. I mean, I know they want to get Garrett Wilson plays the slot too. Yeah, this is like I said, Lazard. I talked about it earlier. Talked about it in a short article for JetNation.com. You know, do you was 238? Okay, that's not too bad. Sorry, do you try to move Lazard now that you've added another wide receiver to the stable? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson are obviously your veteran guys, and now you've added Corley. It, I think I just think it's going to be interesting if they don't trade Allen Lazard. I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out during the season because I could see him being, as I said earlier, a little bit of a malcontent, not happy with his playing time because I don't think he'll get much. I don't think he'll be a guy who gets a lot of playing time. Caden Wallace goes to the Pats. We talked about him. Fisher, who went earlier, Caden Wallace. We talked a couple weeks ago about some of these tackles who don't get the attention, possibly because of playing opposite Joe Alt and Olu Fashanu. I'm not saying they're on their level, but I think they were overlooked a little bit by a lot of folks who were focusing so heavily on their teammates. And now we will. Let's see. I'm going to see if Dylan's coming on. Okay, so Dylan's not going to be able to call in. Let's see. There's part of me that thinks, let's just log off and wait for the Jets to get on the clock again with a trade up. But who says they do? I think they might want to. I think what were we? What did they have left? I've already forgotten, having just gone through it. They've got pick 4. They've got the 11th pick in round 4, the 29th pick in round 4, 34, which I guess is a comp. And then they've got 6 and 7. They got 5 more picks. What do we think, Jets fans? Do we think they trade back up? What could you get for Lazard? Talked about this earlier, Charles. I think if you're going to dump Lazard, it's going to be similar to the Zach thing. You're going to have to pick up most of what you owe him. The Jets would owe him 8.5. The team acquired. That might be the only thing that makes him attractive to other teams, is they can look at him and go, this is a guy who had just under 800 yards a couple years ago. We can get him from the Jets for $3.5 million. The acquiring team would owe 3.5. Jets would owe 8.5. And you'd probably do something where you give up a 7 and you get a 6, or you give up a 6 and you get a 5. You're talking moving up 20, 30 slots in a draft. Is that worth it? It's a complicated deal. I mean, look, in a perfect world, he bounces back. In a perfect world, Aaron Rodgers is back under center, and Allen Lazard starts catching the football. The real winners are the teams that already have a solid offense. This draft is pushing so many. Talked about this last night, KD. Went live. Pretty sure I talked about it during the show. And then I did go on to, did Amagaji go? Yeah, again, such a limited. I probably watched less of him than any other lineman who I thought the Jets might be interested in, just because of the fact he's a talented left tackle. Our buddy Mike Renner here just said he needs 3 years. Seems like a lot. Chargers taking Junior Colson. Wonder what that means for my guy Dayan Henley, who I liked last year. But yeah, sorry, got sidetracked. KD, I talked about it yesterday, right? If you're a team that needed defense and you were in the back of that first round, man, did you make out like a bandit, because literally the defensive players didn't start coming off the board till pick 15. And even then it was heavy offense. So some teams have the opportunity to have a really special draft on the defensive side of the ball. Again, San Diego just got Junior Colson. I didn't think he was the best linebacker in this class, but I thought he's a damn good one. And that's the comment they've just made here on Bleacher Report, saying, in the eyes of some people, the best linebacker in this class. And listen, if you're a top 3 linebacker in this class and somebody's getting you in round 3, that's pretty damn good value. So, I mean, in fairness, not the best linebacker class we've seen. Not a great one. Not a great class, top to bottom. My info, what do I think of the trade? I love it. You gave up a 5 and you got Corley. I mean, I'd said about a half hour earlier, don't trade up. Let the board come to you. Someone's going to be on the board. And then I kind of started to say, if you think there's a team that's going to jump you at this point, because the price would have dropped by then, because now you're going into round 3. And I don't think I was done with my sentence, but I was, what I started to say was, maybe you consider a trade up if you feel like you've got to jump somebody, if you have intel that somebody wants one of your guys. And as I was saying it, they make the trade. I was saying I hope it wasn't for anything more than a 4, and even a 4 would have been an overpay. But one thing you would have heard us talk about leading up to this draft, repeating what Senior Bowl director Jim Nagy has said several times, rounds 4 through 7 this year, he believes, are going to be weaker than years past, because you had the number of underclassmen that declared for this draft way lower than you would usually see. So the pool got a lot smaller. A lot of talented guys who would have come out in years past, they stayed in school because now they can get NIL money and they're not in that rush to get into the NFL, where some of these guys will make more in NIL money than they will on a rookie contract based on where they're projected to get drafted. So why wouldn't you stay in college for another year and get a bigger paycheck there than you will in the pros, which is wild, but that's kind of where we are. So Nagy has said several times, teams will be using their day 3 picks to trade up and to get into round 3, because 4, 5, 6, 7 doesn't have the same value it has in years past. So in saying I hope the Jets didn't give up more than a 4, and obviously they didn't, they gave up a 5, which is fantastic. This is why Joe Douglas needs an extension. Look what he's doing with no second, and balancing the short term and long term for the team. Everybody knows, anybody who listens to us knows that I'm a big Joe D defender. I've said many times over. Hang on one second. Okay. Looks like Andrew Phillips, cornerback from Kentucky, is going to the Giants. But I've said before, and people get mad at me for it. I don't care. People say it's making excuses. I don't care. If you draft football players who prove themselves to be very good football players, and then they get hurt, I'm not firing the guy who drafted them. Only because, well, again, the caveat is if there's no injury history. If you get silly and reckless and you draft a guy who missed 10 years or 10 games his senior year and 6 games his junior year and 6 games the year before that, and you take a risk and take him in the first round and he gets hurt and can't get on the field as a pro, I'm going to be like, hey, man, you got to go because you're not paying attention to what's going on here. That's not been the case with Joe Douglas. I've talked about this a million times. Mekhi Becton missed no significant time in college. AVT missed no significant time in college. Cam Clark, who, people forget about him because he never suited up, came from a small school. I thought Cam Clark was a really good pick. I thought he had the potential to be a starting guard. He set his school record for total games played and consecutive games played. Like, you drafted a bunch of durable linemen who all got hurt. I'm not blaming that on the GM. I don't know how you call that an excuse. I ask people, if you're going to tell me I got to fire a guy for the mistakes he made, but you can't explain to me how he could have avoided them, I don't want to hear it. What could he have done to prevent AVT from getting injured? What could he have done to stop Mekhi Becton from having Greg Van Roten fall on the back of his leg? What could he have done to stop Adrian Clark or Cam Clark from breaking his neck? Like, stuff happens. When you look at just think about this team. And, this is part of it that I said last year. Going into last year, there were no shortage of people picking the Jets to make a Super Bowl run. I'm not saying they were a favorite to win the Super Bowl, but there were more than a few people saying that this was a team that could make a Super Bowl run, that would make the playoffs, that is a playoff run at minimum, possibly Super Bowl. That's what they built last year. And then a bunch of guys get hurt, and it's like, oh, fire the GM. What? Like, you're going to fire the GM because the quarterback, now listen, if you want to, I have made zero excuses for Joe Douglas and the compensation he gave up for Aaron Rodgers. I said at the time he gave up too much. I'm especially saying it today because he didn't have a second-round pick because of it. And people got mad at me. Why are you being so negative? You're a hater. This is a bargain. You're not going to get a Hall of Fame quarterback for a day 3 pick. Nobody was suggesting that. All I was saying was the framework on a deal for Rodgers was there. If you looked at the trade for Brett Favre, you gave up day 2, day 3 picks for him, or day 3 picks for Favre. And with Rodgers, you give up a 2 in exchange for a couple of snaps. That was boneheaded. I thought that was a bad. If you want to criticize Joe Douglas for that, have at it. But in the end, he still did bring in a Hall of Fame quarterback. And I brought it up again the other day. The roster, as currently constructed, is better than the one they had last year when we were saying this might be a Super Bowl team. So now this year is all about health and coaching. Can guys stay on the field? Can Robert Saleh get out of his own way? And not even Saleh. Really, it's can Keith Carter get the O-line to play well? Nate Hackett. Again, the Nate Hackett thing is tough because as long as Rodgers is under center, he is essentially calling the plays. So the game day stuff is going to be Rodgers. The day-to-day ops, the preparation, the practice, the meetings, Hackett's going to be running that. And of course, Rodgers is free to speak up, but Hackett's going to be the one teaching the offense, teaching the concepts. Rodgers isn't going to have time to do everything for everyone. People think he's just going to walk in and be Superman and do everyone's job. That's not realistic. So Hackett's got to pull his head out. I mean, at this point in his life, what are the odds it's going to click and he's going to be good at his job? Not very likely. So the coaching is an issue, and they've got to stay healthy. They've got to stay healthy. This team has not regressed under Joe Douglas, not speaking in terms of wins and losses, more in terms 100% KD. Sometimes things just for whatever reason don't break your way. But here's the thing. There are people, and I'm not even kidding around right now. I've had, and I have to, my own admission, I have to stop engaging with some of the people I engage with on Twitter because there are some people who are completely out of their minds. I've had people literally tell me this roster is no better than the one Joe Douglas. I'm telling you, people have said that to me. I'll post like, here's the current DB group. Here's the group he inherited. This isn't any better. This team's no better. This is why people are crazy. And it kind of just goes to show how the fine line between winning and losing in the NFL, right? Nobody in their right mind, some people would, but nobody in their right mind would look at, that's not a bad idea, Zebo. Nobody in their right mind would look at the roster Joe Douglas inherited and the one he built, even going into last year. Nobody would look at those and say, oh, yeah, that's the same. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, Sam Darnold, what's the difference? Breece Hall, whoever the running back was then, yeah, same thing. No, it is light years better. But the records have been similar, which is, I mean, I get it's all about winning. But at some point, you have to look at it and go, all right, I get that the wins and losses it hasn't flipped yet, but that's not because of the talent. It's certainly not because the general manager isn't bringing in talented players. And people love to bring up, oh, but this guy was a bust and that guy was a bust. Everybody has busts. Dylan Terham and I did a show on this months ago, breaking down, looking at every single Joe Douglas pick, but looking at it in the context with the understanding that 53%, 1 second. Keeping in mind, in context, 53% of NFL draft picks fail. More than half. That's average. So don't come to me and say, oh, look at these picks that didn't work out. Yeah, more than half of picks don't work out. It's called the NFL. That's what happens. Talk to me about the whole body of work. And coaching is a part of this. I had this conversation with someone today, or in a chat group, and we were going over the players. Braden Mann. Everybody hated that pick because he stunk. But what happens? He leaves. He goes somewhere else. He goes to Philly. Year 1, top 10 punter. All of a sudden, how many guys have to leave this team and figure out how to play football before we realize, like, and listen, Boyer's probably the best coach on the staff. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out with Braden Mann. But how many players do you have to see walk out the door and play better elsewhere before you think, like, maybe these guys aren't terrible? Jason Pinnock, not a great player, but he's an NFL player. He'll get the occasional start. He's a regular rotational guy, and he was a day 3 pick. And that's the other thing. People like to say this guy sucks, that guy sucks, this guy's no good. Some guys are just okay players, and that's all right, because no one has a roster of 53 superstars. Every team has a handful of guys who are just okay, and that's okay. And that's what somebody like Michael Carter. Michael Carter is an absolutely fine 4+ yards per carry running back. He'll catch the ball out of the backfield. I get he had some drops last year, but he probably spoke up. He probably pissed somebody off. As you look at the timeline, Michael Carter, he was a Jet, and then one day they had a team-only meeting, and then the next day he wasn't a Jet anymore. He clearly had something to say in that meeting. And what he probably said was, I'm averaging over 4 yards a carry, and the guy getting carries over me, Dalvin Cook, is averaging 2 yards a carry. Please, may I have more carries? This guy's acting up. You got to go. You questioned the guy that Aaron wanted, so you got to go. So you get rid of Michael Carter. If Michael Carter was still on the roster and getting 10, 12 carries a game, he'd be a home run draft pick. But because they brought in a guy that supplanted him, and he spoke up and they cut him, oh, he's a bust. He sucks. No, that's not the case. So there are guys, Sherwood converted from safety to linebacker. He's come along just fine. He's now the linebacker 2 behind Mosley. Would step in and start if Mosley couldn't. Played well last year when given the opportunity. I have no concerns about him. He's turned out to be a good player. Day 3 pick. Ashton Davis improved enough last year. Good player. Not a day 3, but top 100 guy. So there are players on this roster who either got hurt, so I'm not going to blame the GM, have developed nicely, so that's a credit to the GM. And guys, listen, I'm not judging players after a year or two. I mean, some guys, listen, when you're Sauce Gardner, when you're Garrett Wilson, I don't need multiple years. I'm like, yeah, that dude can play. If you're an absolute disaster and you're getting your head kicked in every day, you're probably not going to be good. Like I can lean toward this guy's going to be a bust. But as of right now, I'm not writing off guys who, we have no idea what Zaire Barnes can do or what Zach Kuntz can do. I'm not even looking at them when I'm looking at day 3 picks right now because they've not stepped on the field. So give time to the guys who haven't played. Be objective about the guys who have played. Look at the big picture. Is the GM at fault because AVT tore his triceps? Is it the GM's fault that Cam Clark broke his neck? No. Big picture and be fair. Though, again, people get so angry and they hate Joe Douglas so much that a guy breaking his neck is Joe Douglas's fault. And we got to fire Joe Douglas. Look at all these day 3 misses. Now, listen, his first draft, and am I biased because I hated Adam Gase? Absolutely. But I would venture to guess if you look at the way that unfolded, Douglas came here because of Gase. Gase lobbied hard for Joe Douglas. The Jets pursued him, brought him in. I would imagine that draft, Adam Gase had a lot more sway, a lot more pull as a head coach than another head coach might. Joe Douglas probably felt like, I'm friendly with this guy. We know each other well. We worked together in Chicago. He helped me get this job. I'm going to get him what he wants. Adam, I would bet Gase, like especially offensive-minded coach, you better believe Gase wanted James Morgan. Gase, probably was that the year before the Ja'Kai Polite pick. That was a Gase pick. But I think that the Morgan, the Michael Pirine, again, these are probably all Gase guys. After the drafts after that are, again, when you consider that half of picks fail anyway, and when you hold off on judging guys who haven't played yet, it's not as bad as people try to make it out to be. But this is the thing. Everybody wants day 1 superstar or you're a bust. KD, let's see what KD's been saying while I've been yapping away. And what do we got? Cooper Beebe. Man, Dallas, that's a good pick for them. Beebe played tackle and guard in college. Can't imagine he'll play much tackle in the in the NFL, shorter arms, won't get a shot. But let's see here. Yeah, Jets Twitter, KD, they do get out of hand. I do try to back out. I say all the time, KD, fantasy football and Madden have ruined the perspective of fans. Fans, because they can put together a Super Bowl team in one off season on Madden, they don't understand why it doesn't happen in real life. Why doesn't Joe Douglas? I ran the Jets in Madden and we were awesome, like right away. Why can't Joe Douglas do it if I did it? It's not real life. Jets started their presser. Yeah, the night probably is over then. Although I was telling a story yesterday, former Vikings GM Rick Spielman likes telling a story about how they were done for the day, and he was literally at the podium doing his presser, and they were calling him from the side, from the wing, saying, "We got a team on the phone that wants to trade. Let's get up here." And he ran up and they made a trade. Let's see. JD is our GM. He's brought in top quality and good quality players and playmakers. When they get hurt or don't play up to their potential, that's how I feel, Andre. Daniel Jeremiah did a thing a few weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago now, where he went team by team throughout the NFL and said, how many like legitimate blue chip sort of build your franchise around type of players each team has. And I think some teams had none, some teams had one. The Jets had 4. And that's something I wholly agree. And that's, you can't put AVT on there because of the injuries. Could have 5 with AVT. So what was it? Garrett? Maybe it was through Garrett, Sauce, Brees. Maybe he did have AVT. I don't think he had AVT on there. But Tippmann's another one. Made the all-rookie team year 1. Didn't start all year. Finally, when they did get him on the field, he played really well. So there are a lot of high-level, again, Michael Carter II, great job with it. Brandon Eccles, not great, but nice player, nice depth player. Again, it's okay to have players who are just okay. Not everybody's going to be a superstar. Tony Adams looks like he's going to be a nice find. UDFA. Jason Brownlee. Didn't do a lot last year, but really what rookie would under those circumstances, I don't know. And Braylon Trice, he's an edge out of Washington. He just went to the Falcons. He's a guy who had a lot of hype early on in the year, seemed to die down a little bit, and just wasn't generating as much buzz, and does seem to, I think I recall seeing him as a sort of a. I feel like I recall people saying he'd be a round 1 pick. Agree with the this is the thing, Andre. If you want everyone to be a home run pick, then you're going to want to fire your GM every year, because that's not reality. Jeremy Ruckert. Is there anybody who doesn't think Jeremy? And maybe it's, we're fans. Maybe it's drinking the Jeremy Ruckert Kool-Aid because we love him because he's a Jets fan and the family and we love all that. I'm sure he would be a better player with most other NFL teams, but he's been with the Jets where they don't know what to do on offense and they don't have a quarterback to throw them the ball, or they haven't. And he's just not been made part of the offense. I think Jeremy Ruckert can be a very good player. I think Conklin would be a much better player with any other team. These guys can play football, and I think the coaching has been an issue. He moves some me players, exactly. Well, and the problem was, Charles, and hopefully they learned from it. I think like Elijah Moore was a me player he brought in, right? And there were some signs with him that they ignored. But I'm glad that they did move on from him. Absolutely. So, and what do we got here? I believe Woody controlled every aspect of the Rodgers trade. I don't think he did. I think he insisted on it. I think he said, "Get me Aaron Rodgers," because if you remember, there was the report out of the combine that the Jets were interested in pursuing Carr, and Woody said no. Woody said, until we know we don't have Aaron Rodgers, we're not pursuing anyone else. So I think Woody pushed for that to happen. And as far as the free agents, I'm sure Woody said, get Aaron what he wants. So in that degree, yeah, he would have had a major, major impact on free agency. And I talked about that earlier this season. I said, Joe Douglas, most guys get a 53-man roster. I feel like Joe Douglas had 47 or 48 to work with. and then you had the guys Aaron wanted, filling out the final five. Jason says Jets have 3 4th-round picks and 1 7th-rounder left. They got a 6th as well. They, according to ESPN here, 3 4s, a 6, and a 7. That's why they didn't take Bowers, Aaron to Tyler, and Jeremy. Oh, Bowers. That's gonna bother me for a long time. The Jets can still trade up, but it's a matter of value. Do they feel like they want to? I mean, again, if they've had their presser, then I imagine that they're done. Somebody might call, and that could change things. But I don't think the Jets are pursuing anyone at this point. I think they're going to go into tomorrow knowing they've got 3 4s, a 6, and a 7. Not having a 2 stings, but, let's we'll get over that. Let's see. There you go, Amagaji. See, they were talking about him earlier, so I thought maybe he went. But Kieran Amagaji goes to the Bears, project tackle. But he goes top 100. That's kind of that's where you're expecting to get your players, your starters. Wow. 36 and an 1/8-inch arms for Kieran Amagaji. But we had Emery Hunt of CBS Sports and Football Game Plan. We had him on our show a few weeks ago, and that was one of the first players I asked him about was Amagaji because I didn't have access to as much film as I would have liked. Got some late, but didn't have a chance to watch him. I wanted to, but didn't see. Look, yeah, powerful guy. Athletic, powerful. I didn't realize he had 36-inch arms. He could be Amagaji could be something. They really might have something with him. Betting the depth and 1 injury away was the way to go on the O-line, protect AR. Yeah, Chris, I get that. I need to decompress and stop arguing with people about that. But my opinion was take Bowers and sign a tackle in free agency, a veteran tackle. Because, yes, listen, I like Olu Fashanu. I think Olu Fashanu is going to be a very good player for a long time. However, we don't know if he's going to hit the ground running. Like, is he going to be elite from day one? He might. Hope he is. Is he going to be Andrew Thomas? Or is he going to be I'm drawing a blank now. Penei Sewell, right? Penei Sewell, elite tackle who struggled for the first half of his rookie year. So if Tyron Smith gets hurt week 2 and you're plugging Olu Fashanu in as your starter from week 3 forward, can you afford to have a left tackle who's not very good for 8 weeks versus the opportunity to bring in a guy like Charles Leno or Cam Fleming? There's 3 or 4 free agent tackles out there who are good but not great, solid veterans, who would have been perfectly fine as backups, that you could have brought one of them in, and you take Bowers. Bowers, to me, if they had gotten Bowers and Corley, as I said, that I'd said a couple times, that would be my dream scenario. Bowers and Corley on the field with Rodgers and their ability to make plays after the catch, and Rodgers' ability to hit on quick hitters, whether we're talking slants, bubble screens, whatever. That's where Rodgers thrives, and that's where these guys thrive. So Becton, I don't see Becton coming back. Chris, I think Mekhi Becton, in my mind, and I tried to kind of envision or paint a scenario where how could he end up coming back? Because I liked him. I liked Becton. I know a lot of fans hate him, and I think I said it at the time, and since the season passed, I thought maybe things have eased up a little bit. I think his preseason interview with Bob Glauber, I think it was Glauber. Every time I talk about that interview, I forget who did it. It was Newsday. I think it was Glauber. I think that sealed his fate with the Jets. That was the most ill-advised interview I think I've ever seen a player do. For a guy who had 2 years off due to injury, but the team stuck with you. The team still praised you publicly, despite the fact you were battling your weight behind the scenes. They weren't telling anyone. They put you as far away as possible so the media couldn't get a look at you when you were showing up to camp. The team was doing everything they could to accommodate Mekhi Becton. And then right before he's finally about to get on the field for the first time in 2 years, and all he has to do is get out there and play football and shut people up, he does this interview where he says, I missed last season because I was hurting at practice and the coaches ignored me, and it got worse, and then I got the season ender. It's like you just publicly accused your team of malpractice, of incompetence, and other teams are going to see that. Like, nobody in any job wants a guy who's going to the media to say, I was injured because of them. Like, that's a red flag that a lot of teams are going to go, you know what? Even if that guy plays well this year, having someone with that risk isn't worth it. And then he went out and didn't play particularly well. Now, I thought Mekhi Becton played okay for the early part of the season. Wasn't great, wasn't terrible. Expected some hiccups. His first time back on the field in a couple of years. And then from weeks, 11 through 17, 12 through 17, he was absolutely horrible. I think he was injured. And I'm not making excuses for it. Like, just do the math on this with me. People, he was lazy. You're going to tell me, like, and you can't have it both ways. Because when Becton lost all that weight, which kudos to him with the season coming, he got himself in shape. When Becton lost all that weight, everybody said, he's only doing it because he's greedy and he wants a big payday. Okay, he's greedy. That's the only, okay. And then as the season winds down, when he's 5 or 6 weeks of football away from being able to get that payday, he plays the worst football we've ever seen him play at any level. Snap of the ball, and he just stands still, and guys running past him. He's jogging after guys. Like, he put in an entire offseason of work to lose 40, 50 pounds, and then with a little over a month to go, he starts mailing it in. You can't have, no. It is so opposite of logical. Like, you can't have that. It's one or the other. And I don't see any world in which any player, Mekhi Becton or anyone else, would decide, well, I've got 5 or 6 more games to play until I'm a free agent. I think I'm going to take it easy now. No. And Mekhi Becton, I think he gave up 6 sacks in the final 5 games. Against the, crazy as it may sound, and probably because they ran it so much, he actually looked good his final week of the season. Delmar Glaze, see, he's another one. He goes, that good pick for the Raiders. Really long, big dude, left tackle out of Maryland. And yeah, so Becton, you don't go out there and have your worst 5 games of your life right before free agency if you're not hurt. So I think he was playing hurt. I think that, but even more than that, more than his play, more than the weight, more than being hurt, more than the results, I think what hurt him most was coming out publicly and blaming the team for ignoring him and getting him injured. And I think a lot of teams that may have considered him otherwise were like, that dude's never playing for us. Because look, even with as poorly as he played last year, that guy has way too much talent for a team not to have brought him in on a 1-year deal. Like, people, again, this is like the Joe Douglas thing, right? You hate a guy enough that you're willing to sort of ignore reality and pretend good things didn't happen. There are people that hate Mekhi Becton so much that you talk about his rookie year, and they act like it was never a thing. Like, we didn't all sit there and watch highlights of this dude taking grown men off their feet and launching them through the air in ways that I've never seen a lineman, let alone a rookie lineman. I've said that to, big deal. I'm like, big deal? Find me another guy doing that. Send me all the clips you have of rookie offensive linemen completely wiping out the entire side of a defensive line, or getting into a guy, getting under his pads, taking him off his feet, and tossing him to the side. And people get quiet then. That maybe their internet connection goes on the fritz as soon as you ask them to show you another guy doing that as a rookie, because you don't see it. Becton was a monster as a rookie. The talent is there. And, for those of you familiar with Duke Manyweather, Becton doesn't work with Manyweather anymore. And even after Becton stopped working with Manyweather, I saw Duke Manyweather sent out a tweet saying Mekhi Becton can be as good as he wants to be. Like, he can be one of the best players in the NFL. And he can. And what Mekhi Becton might need is for nobody to sign him this year. Mekhi Becton might have to sit home for a year and think about the approach he's taken as a pro so far and light a fire under him and learn to be a better pro. And listen, if what he's saying is true about the Jets, I'm not saying Mekhi Becton's lying. Make sure we're clear on that. But if Mekhi Becton genuinely, if the Jets really, if he came to them and was like, "Hey, this bad knee that I just had surgically repaired is really bothering me," and they ignored him, that's a huge fail on their part. But you don't tell the news about it, right? Go to your agent, file a grievance, whatever. But you don't go to the news about it. That again, that's part of being a pro and understanding. Like, look, dude, if you want to keep working, you don't throw the teams under the bus because other teams are going to see that. So maybe Mekhi Becton keep himself in shape, keep working, have a year away from the game, and listen, maybe having to sign somewhere for vet minimum, maybe that'll do it. And look, as crazy it sounds to a normal human, NFL vet minimum, I'd be doing backflips. NFL players, Mekhi Becton is looking at it like I'm good enough to be making $20 million a year if I'd stay healthy, say the right things, and play football. So maybe even that would do it. Maybe a year off. Maybe this. Maybe realizing like, wow, the free agency's come and gone, the draft is come and gone, and and let's say he lands with a team in a few days, which he might. Teams get active after the draft. Maybe Cincinnati had him in for a visit. Maybe they signed him, but I think maybe he needs something to wake him up. Yeah, KD says he needs a mentor, and he thought Duke Manyweather would be. Yeah, he's and KD. I don't even necessarily think he needs time. We saw as a rookie, he could be a dominant force. I'm not saying he'll be perfect, but if he got himself in shape, he could play. And part of it too. Look who his O-line coach was. And that's the other part of it. I get that you don't like your O-line coach. I get that your O-line coach doesn't have a great reputation, but you can't be on social media clowning the O-line coach like as you're hitting free agency. Like just when, the throwing the team under the bus in the media had kind of faded into the background, you jump on social media and you're doing laughing emojis at another former player trashing your coach. Teams see that stuff. Teams see it. He might need a mentor. He might need an off-field mentor. He needs an on-field coach and an off-field mentor. So I liked the kid. I thought he was going to be a great player. He's got the tools to be a great player. Like I said, people can pretend year one didn't happen, but it did. But we'll see what happens from here for him. It's a shame he didn't get signed pre-draft because it would have figured in the comp formula. Needs to be humbled. Well, and this is the point I was making, KD. I'm not saying it will for sure, but maybe this might do it. Like he's cocky enough to go on social media, declare himself a left tackle while he's being asked to play right. That like there was no shortage of confidence and cockiness in Mekhi Becton. Maybe this. He probably thought teams were going to be lining up to sign him, and that's not happening. And he's had now a lot of days and weeks to sit and think, damn, what's going on here? Was I wrong? Am I not quite where I thought I was yet? He can get there. But that's why I said a year. Like let nobody sign him, which I don't think will happen. But imagine him having to spend a year off. But I think even this might do it. Hopefully it does. I hope it lights a fire. I hope the kid has a nice career. And I hope he just, like I said, get a mentor, learn to be a better pro, and go from here. Charles is asking. Charles also. Jaden Hicks. Jaden Hicks is a safety at Washington State. My head's saying Western Michigan. Washington State safety, physical guy in the box, really physical in the box, can cover well down the field. He's a guy I was tweeting about a couple years ago. And also, I like him and Mustafa. I think Malik Mustafa and Jaden Hicks would be my top two choices for the guys who I believe are still left on the board. To be honest, I've looked away quite a bit here. Since the Jets have picked, we've gone pretty much Jets talk, peeking in on the picks from time to time. Let's before we log off, because I'll log off here. Unless if we're close enough to wrapping up round 3, maybe we'll just see it through. And not exactly. But let's see who's gone while I've been yammering away. There's my guy. All right. So Trey Benson, Florida State, Brandon Coleman, TCU, Caden Wallace, Penn State. I'm telling you, they're colleges, like you care. Where did they go? Trey Benson, Cardinals, Brandon Coleman, Commanders, Caden Wallace, Pats. Somebody's trading. Okay, that's fine. Junior Colson, Michigan linebacker, went to the Chargers. Andrew Phillips, we talked about that, went to the Giants. Isaiah Adams, I spoke to him in Mobile, liked him a lot. Illinois guard who played guard and tackle. They're listing him as a tackle here. When I spoke to him in Mobile, he even said he prefers guard, which not a lot of guys say, because they know that, tackle is where the money is at. And when I asked him where he felt most comfortable, he said he would feel most comfortable playing guard. But again, they're listing him as a tackle here. He did play tackle last year, so that makes sense. Linebacker Trevor Wallace goes to Carolina. Cooper Beebe to the Cowboys, we talked about. Braylon Trice to the Falcons. Amagaji to the Bears, we mentioned. Jonah Ellis, Denver, like him a lot. Only concern, level of competition. He did struggle against some of the better tackles. Didn't do a whole lot when he faced top-tier competition. Feasted on low-tier guys. Delmar Glaze, I mentioned. Again, big dude. Long, really, is the focus there. And I haven't looked at it. Just watching him on film, watching him on game day, Glaze looked like he had really good length. Kalen Bullock, USC safety, goes to the Texans. Matt Goncalves went to Indianapolis following a trade-up. He is, of course, out of Pitt. Another Pitt tackle who spent a lot of his senior year on the sideline injured, similar to Carter Warren last year. So how many picks do we have till we call it a day? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. About 20 picks. They're going quickly enough. Let's stay and talk more football. We got 20 picks. Shouldn't take too long. I'm wide awake anyway. I'll be going on Play Like a Jet with Scott Mason after this. Check that out to recap what the Jets did. Basically to recap Malachi Corley, but we'll talk about other picks, other good fits. Now here's a good one. Okay. Jermaine Burton, wide receiver out of Alabama, lands with the Bengals. We talked about this on our show, how Burton is the guy that you have to wonder if the fact that he's not had the elite quarterback play that the receivers before him have had in recent years, right? Just Alabama is just such a wide receiver factory that and he can run like the wind. Yeah, I think he's a guy that could be a steal because was the production hurt by the quarterback play? And really, I think the fact that he punched a fan or knocked a fan over when I forget who they lost to, that the fans were rushing the field and he knocked a couple of young, college. I mean, he's a college kid, but knocked a couple of kids over who were storming the field. You can't do that. I know it sucks, but you just go to the tunnel. Go to the tunnel. Don't beat anybody up. But with Joe Burrow, and is T. Higgins on his way out? Hang on. Yeah, the Bleacher Report guys are saying there was some Burton concerns with maybe not wanting to do everything he was asked. Yeah, and here's the thing, KD. Matt, appreciate it, buddy. Always happy to hop on. It's a once a year event, right? It's a weird thing. I live in England, and my job asked me if I could do some shifts this week, and trying to explain to them that I'm going to be locked in my study for 3 days, listening to names get announced. Probably sounds really stupid, and sounds a little stupid to me too. If you've not seen the Bill Burr clip, you got to be able to laugh at yourself, right? I mean, we take this stuff seriously. And I'm the first one to admit I take this way more seriously than I should. Bill Burr described it perfectly. Watching the NFL draft is like going to a high school graduation where no one is graduating. You're cheering for, yay! No idea who you are, but I'm here to cheer for you. And it is funny that we take this so seriously. Oh, Christian Haynes to the Seahawks. Nasty mauler on the inside. UConn. Like that pick a lot. Yeah, 317. Yeah, good player, Haynes. Let's check the old Twitter. I haven't looked at Twitter in a while. Midnight. 1 second here. Yeah, so Haynes to the Seahawks. That makes sense. 5. So what would that be? 12. I guess he means. Let's see. What time is it? All right. So let's see. They're still talking Christian Haynes. But yeah, what I was saying a minute ago, Katie, since I got way sidetracked, ADHD, I got multiple screens going up, I got messages coming in, so I apologize. But yeah, I've not really. Now that we're at a point where some teams have made 2 or 3 picks, I've not looked at who's having a nice run. I know, like I said, I know I like the Raiders' first couple picks, but I'm not looking at it team by team at all. Let's see, let's move that. Chargers, Raiders killing it. Yeah, Burton to the Bengals. I really like that. Okay, corners. Let's see. Tip Ryman. He's one of these guys. I feel like Tip Ryman and A.J. Barner, both tight ends, both Big Ten, both really good blockers who didn't get a ton of opportunities to catch the football. But I think if they had been given that opportunity, they would have been more productive than they were in college. Those are guys I always look at and think you might be a better pro than you were in college. So Tip Ryman, very good player, very good pick. At the very least, monster blocker. But yeah, I like Ryman a lot. I think I might like Barner a little bit more. But either I'm not saying Barner will be the better player. There are those guys on my roster. Now, if you're the Jets, you've got Ruckert, who's going to be. I think I'm hoping. This is wild, but I'm hoping Hackett does the right thing. I said last year that that Ruckert should have been a fullback, and we didn't see him in that role until very late in the year, and he looked phenomenal, and then he got hurt. Make Ruckert your fullback. You don't use one on every play anyway. You rarely use one. If you're going to have a fullback 7-8 plays a game, let it be Ruckert, and use him at tight end and throw him the damn football from time to time. Yeah, Tip Ryman, good player, good job there. Let's see. Yeah, it's funny. Corley apparently has met with the media. Said he doesn't pattern his game after anyone, but compares it to Deebo Samuel, which is what we've kind of many of us have done. He averaged 8.6 yards after contact. 330 yards just on screen passes. Yeah. Ooh, okay. Blake Corum to the right. Do I see us taking a running back tomorrow? Part of me thinks no, but listen, Joe Douglas, that's the one thing he's done, right? Every single draft, he's taken a running back. Every draft. So, wouldn't surprise me. Tyrone Tracy out of Purdue would love that. Rasheen Ali out of Marshall, another good one. there are some pretty good backs that I think will be there on day 3. But Blake Corum, running back, just went to the LA Rams. I really thought the Chargers were going to try to grab him, but not the case. And actually, let's see. Just looking at what value might be there. Looking ahead to tomorrow. Let's look at best available. We got about 20 picks left. So you got TJ Tampa, you got Peyton Wilson, Cedric Gray. Jaden Hicks is now the 4th best player available on the ESPN board. But let's go outside of 20. Obviously, this won't be the same order the teams have it in, but just get an idea. Tez Walker still on the board. Jets aren't taking another receiver, but I'm just saying. Dwayne Carter could be a good one. Can play a little bit outside, can play inside. Defensive lineman out of Duke. I think that's an area where the Jets will target. Spencer Rattler's still out there, folks. The quarterbacks, like we thought some of these guys might go in the 3rd round. I mean, they could still go. There's plenty of picks remaining in round 3, but I thought that's where Rattler might go. I think I said he would be top 75. I may have even said he might go top 50, but I for sure thought he'd be top 75. We're outside of that now. See what happens when you stop paying attention. So I was wrong about Rattler. I said I thought he'd be a top 75 guy. He's still on the board. And then Dominic Pooney, again, I don't know if they're going to take another. Well, he's an interior guy. They could take it. Like, I would take Zach Zinter. I would like Cedric Van Pran. That guy's still out there. He, early on in the process, he was getting talk as a top 50 guy. Javon Foster, one of my favorites, tackle out of Missouri. Tanner McLaughlin, underrated tight end who can also play in the slot, a long tight end who can make plays. Brennan Jackson. Oh, I like this. ESPN's got him a lot higher than other boards I've looked. I like Brennan Jackson a lot. Spoke to him at the Senior Bowl, liked him a lot. And he's an edge rusher out of Washington State. Think he can be a nice rotational piece for somebody. Edge is what's going to be interesting for the Jets. Like, you have a lot of them. Do you take another one? Let's see. Oh, do we have a Jets tweet? We have a Jets tweet. Somebody just sent me something. What's this? Oh, wow. Nice. You like seeing stuff like this. Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas both tweeted or texted Malachi Corley this morning with a picture of him and underneath telling him no matter what. So obviously the Jets really liked Malachi Corley. That's good stuff. We got another Michigan Wolverine off the board. And there goes Roman Wilson. And who got him? Who grabbed Roman? Oh, Steelers. Nice. Yeah, good. Like I said, him or Corley, probably my top 2 guys when the Jets were on the board, on the clock. Mike says Becton may not have the mindset to be great, but Jets fans acting like the injuries to his knee didn't play a part in his. It is, again, Mike. The same people who say the injuries didn't matter are the same people who say Joe Douglas is at fault because AVT got injured. Like, if you just decide you don't like a guy, no, you're not going to give him any benefit of the doubt. There's not going to be any, well, let's look at this fair and objectively and, let's put it all into context. No, it's just, I don't like this guy. Everything he does is bad. A couple people have said to me, one of my best friends messaged me today, and I had someone else say to me yesterday, oh, you're this big Joe Douglas fan, and now you're complaining you didn't take Brock Bowers. Like, I like the guy. That doesn't mean he's not going to make moves that I'm going to disagree with. Joe Douglas, I think, has done a phenomenal job. Well, phenomenal. Maybe, again, without the injuries, they're a Super Bowl contender in a matter of a few years. So he's done a very good job. But that doesn't mean every single move he makes is going to be one that I'm going to agree with. And it doesn't mean I won't call him out when, there are a lot of people out there that only say nice things about the team. And if that's your thing, that's cool. But I'll say When it's good, I'll say it's good. When it's bad, I saw that. That was a big thing on Twitter today, by the way. Good old Jets Twitter. A lot of, here's how to drink the Kool-Aid and be a fan. Stop being angry that they didn't take who you wanted. Just be happy they took this guy. Like, if I have an opinion, I'm not going to change it just because the team didn't do what I like. I'm going to get over it. Like, all right, fine. You didn't take the guy I wanted, whatever. But I'm not going to be like thrilled that you didn't take the guy that I believed would do the most for you this year. Like, that's why I was mad. I wasn't mad because I hate Olu Fashanu. I was mad because I wanted the player that would elevate the offense in 2024. But, like, you know, here's how you should be a fan. You should like everything they do. And if you ask any questions, you're not a real fan. Give me a break. Telling other people how to like the team. Be like me and just smile when they do anything. No, I'm not going to do that. Back to the best remaining players. Tanner Bortolini, athletic center out of Wisconsin. Jared Wiley, tight end out of TCU. Dadrian Taylor Demerson, safety out of Texas Tech. Bigger safety. He's another guy kind of like Nealand. I got onto him late in the process. Another guy who I was aware of, but didn't watch till a few weeks ago and sat down. And I think, like I said, I tried to go for 3. I think I watched 3 of his games. Saw some PBUs, saw some good tackles. But a big, you see guys at I think he's 6'2". When you see guys at that size, you do worry, like, is he going to, like, not a lot of safeties? Wow, I was way wrong. 5'11", he must be long. Watching him play, I thought that guy's got to be 6'2". He plays big. So, call me an idiot on that one. Go right ahead. Nathaniel Watson, Mississippi State. This is a very high ranking for him based on what I've seen from other sites. Because I like Watson a lot. Jets had him in for a visit. He had a stretch over the final 3 or 4, his final 3 or 4 college games. I think, or maybe not final, but late in his senior season or his final season, he had like a 3-game stretch where he had 50 tackles. 50 tackles in 3 games. That is insane. Insane. I don't care if it's Pee-wee. I don't care what level you're playing at. You get 50 maybe it was 4, which is still pretty damn impressive, but I think it was 3. Crazy stretch, but productive guy, good linebacker. This is the name I was actually coming on to see if he was still there, and he is. Zach Zinter, Michigan guard. Love the player. Love the leadership qualities. Let's see who just went. Sorry. Let's see who just went. I missed who went. Let's see. I think I missed a couple picks here. Let's see who went. Oh no, it's still just Roman Wilson. There's no or at least on ESPN, that's the most recent pick with the Browns on the clock. Yeah, okay. So we have been paying close enough attention. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 16 picks left. Up 15. The pick is in. Oh! Zach Zinter. You got to be literally. Let's see if Zach Zinter is still on the board. Oh, good. He's still there. Bing bong. Zach Zinter. Gone. Damn. Yeah, Zinter. That's a shame. That is a shame. Yeah. So kudos to the Browns. Get a powerful interior lineman, high character guy, a leader. Yeah, nice job. Nice job by then. Katie, I'm telling you. That literally, I said it right. I did say that's who I was logging in to check on. Because I was going through names, but I was like, oh, Zach Zinter. He's the guy I wanted to see if he was still there. Boom. There he goes. I should scroll all the way to the round 7 guys at this point and just say that's who I'm looking to see if he's still there. I mean, I think the Jets they could still take a guard at some point just because it's not like they have. I mean, they don't have a ton of depth there. I know Hansen had a good moment or two last year in very limited playing. I actually wanted him to come back as a developmental guy. They brought Glazer back, who they clearly like. They've had him back about a dozen times now. But I would like a guy like Christian Mahogany. I'm pretty sure he's still out there. Watch him go with this pick, and then I'll just shut my mouth. Yeah, Christian Mahogany. But look, Javian Cohen, really good player. Julian Pearl, they have him as a guard. He played tackle at Illinois. He was kind of. I was expecting better things from him this year. A little bit of a letdown. Still some solid, guys where they should be. Now, Garrett Greenfield out of South Dakota State, isn't he the guy? He's the dude who blew up the combine and looked fantastic at the Shrine Bowl. And ESPN still got him ranked as like the 14th best available guard currently. I bet he goes before a lot of these guys listed ahead of him. Like, even though I like Julian Pearl, I would take Greenfield ahead of Pearl. And they've got Pearl as the 6th best available. But Pearl played tackle. Excuse me. He's listed as a guard, but they can be viewing him as a tackle. Or his ability to play tackle might be why he's listed where he is. Oh, okay. San Fran takes Dominic Pooney. Played tackle at Kansas. Moved inside at the Senior Bowl. Guard, center type. I would work him at tackle. We talked with Emery Hunt about this when we had him on. If I'm a team drafting guys and you played a position in college that is more value than the one you're projected to in the NFL, I'm going to let you work there before I decide you can't do it. And I don't mean, I think when I've said that in the past, people think, oh, yeah, you're going to have a guy at a position for 2-3 years before you realize you can't. No, I'm not saying just let him struggle for 3 years. I'm saying training camp. Like, I'm going to plug you in at tackle in camp. And until we hit a point where I'm watching you and I go, this guy can't do this. Like, I'm going to keep you there. And maybe I'll need a week to say this guy's not getting it, doesn't have this, doesn't have that. Just let's kick him inside like everybody thought he should be. Fine. You've lost nothing. But if you hold your own every day and show you belong and develop, then maybe you've got a tackle instead of a guard. Yeah, I like that. I like against San Francisco, good job. They can identify offensive talent, can't they? Hang on just 1 second. All right. Got some good players at Kansas. Their quarterback, Jason Bean, might be undrafted, could be a round 7 guy, but keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on Jason Bean. And they have some receivers coming out next year. Decent, not great. And Jalen Daniels, not Jaden. Their quarterback is a guy who didn't play much this year. Okay, Maris Leofsu, the linebacker from Notre Dame, goes to see, that's funny because they put it on the screen and I was like, I thought his name was Leofau. But one of the broadcasters corrected it, said no, it's not Leofsu, it's Leofau, which is number 8 linebacker for Notre Dame, active guy, gets through the trash. but maybe not. Maybe not an every down guy. Maybe not a coverage guy, but an early down backer. According to Rich Cimini, the Jets started making calls about trading up to draft Corley about halfway through the second round. So it just goes to show, right? Teams, different grades, different values. The Jets clearly were worried he was going to go in round 2. He didn't. And then they pounced in round 3. So I'm glad it took as long as it did. But, and again, there's part of it, right? I said stay put. Just stay put. There's plenty of receivers on the board. But credit the Jets. They didn't care that there were plenty of receivers on the board. There was one guy that they wanted, and so they were trying to trade up and get him. I can understand that. I love the idea of keeping all the picks, but at the same time, I'm not going to complain that the team went out and got their guy. What do I think of James Williams out of Miami? I think he's a guy who's gonna. He could be another guy who switches positions, but I think Dylan Terman, if I'm not mistaken, I think Dylan Terman interviewed him when we were at the Senior Bowl. But I think he's somebody who people seem to disagree on where he's going to end up. I know he played safety in college, but a lot of folks seem to think he's going to move to linebacker. That he's got that mentality, which the Jets love, obviously. And look, I said back when they took Hamza Nasruddin and Jamie Sherwood, and they were both college safeties, and they were both going to get switched to linebacker, and people said, "What the hell are they doing?" I kind of looked at that. I thought, these are day 3 picks. They're both projects. If one of them hits, that's good. You got a day 3 player. And it looks like that's what happened. Nasruddin, honestly, was the guy that I liked more. I'm not going to lie. I was wrong. I liked Nasruddin more than I liked Sherwood. But Sherwood turned out to be the better player. And now because you did that. Oh, yeah. And Joe says you heard he gained weight. Yeah, that was the talk on him. Percy Wilson. I'm not going to lie. You lost me on that one. Who's Percy Wilson? Percy Wilson. All right. Packers get Marshawn Lloyd. Do you mean Peyton Wilson? We've talked about him a fair bit. I think you mean Peyton Wilson. Yeah, I don't see a Percy Wilson. But Jaden Hicks currently the top safety on the board. Are you guys messing with me now? Is Percy William a ham? Percy Wilson? I don't know what you guys are talking about. Marshawn Lloyd goes to the Green Bay Packers. Great lateral agility, great explosiveness. Once he decides he's going to go, he goes. He can run around you, can run through you. Good player. Goes to Green Bay. You want to be able to run the ball up there, obviously. So a nice move for them. Are you going to make me Google Percy Wilson? He's a scientist. RAF officer. Percy Wilson. Also a Peace Corps director named Percy Charles Wilson. Same guy? I don't know. So yeah, I'm unaware of any Percy Wilsons in the draft, but there is apparently some historical figures by that name. Can't post comments to some. That sounds weird. Oh, that's super weird. All right, so we're still talking Marshawn Lloyd, USC. Let's see who's on the clock. Is that correct? Is it the... Yes, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. And there we go. Oh, and their pick is in. Tyke Smith, safety out of Georgia. This Isaac's still out there. Pretty good edge guy for this point in the draft. Again, Jaden Hicks still there. So how many? Let's see. See how many picks we're down to. Go. Here we go. All right, 11 picks left, folks. 11 picks left, and the Jets, there are, as we expected, some good players available. Definitely more than 11 good players available. So Jaden Hicks could fall. He's currently the fourth best player on the board per ESPN on their board. Who else think they could target? Brandon Dorless plays inside, play outside a little bit. Maybe like somebody like him, some versatility. Because like I said, they do need some help. Oh, you know who's there? Something we haven't talked about enough is corner. Because after Sauce and Garrett, or it's Garrett, after Sauce and DJ Reed, you got nothing. Like I said, Echols is a nice depth guy. But if you need someone to step in and start a bunch of games for you at some point, the Jets don't have that. And that's where I would look at Cam Hart out of Notre Dame, if he's still there. He is currently the 13th ranked player of those available. Watch, he's going to get picked now because I said him. Nope. It's the Boston College, right? Elijah Jones? Yeah. Elijah Jones, DB, Boston College. Mostly safety. Oh, they haven't listed. Why do I feel like he played more safety than corner? My mistake. 6'2", 4'4", 40, 4'4", 40. All right. So again, now we're close enough to the end of this round that we can start speculating who is going to be there. We have 8 more picks, and you've got TJ Tampa again, and he's the top rated corner available. I just happen to be a Cam Hart guy. I don't have any problems with TJ Tampa. Peyton Wilson, who we've talked about, Cedric Gray, who we've talked about, Jaden Hicks. I mean, Hicks would be the most sensible guy to me of those still available. But again, I wouldn't rule out corner at all. Troy Franklin, the receiver, is still there. I think he's a little too small. I think he's not saying he won't be able to play. I think that's what's going to hurt his stock. I think he'll be able to make plays as a pro, but he'll be limited. Austin Booker, an edge who I think is underrated. Able to get to the quarterback, good spin move. I like Austin Booker. Christian Jones, tackle. I don't think they're taking another one. I don't think they're taking another one. Javon Baker's still there. Tez Walker's still there. I think that Senior Bowl hurt Walker. Chris Abrams-Drain, who was really good at the Senior Bowl. Malik Washington, who I would have liked. But again, you're not taking another receiver. I mean, maybe with your last 1 or 2 picks. Oregon corner Kyrie Jackson's a good one. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., again, Van Pran, Foster, Jacobs. Yeah, so there's still some good players here. And again, if you hang on 1 second. Okay. There we go. Who's on the clock now? Okay, Green Bay on the clock. Yeah, they're raving about Austin Booker now on Bleacher. Is it What am I on? Bleacher Report. Yeah. Let's see. Pick is in. Mizzou linebacker Tyron Hopper. Mizzou's got some good players too. We meant Robinson went in the first round. They had Rakestraw. Hopper's a good one. And I think they have some guys who will get picked next year on that defense as well. So let's see here. Yeah, this board, this players remaining is, for me, there's still some good value there. Cade Stover will be good value here, but I just don't think. Again, I don't see the Jets taking one, a tight end. Aaron Rodgers did an interview. What did he say? He said he developed a little bit of chemistry with Zach Kuntz. Yeah, sorry, I just saw that, Mike, the Peyton. I figured after a couple minutes, I was like, and I don't know if you didn't hear me say it. I was like, you must mean Peyton Wilson. But okay, yeah. So like I said, Tyron Hopper, Adam Mizzou goes to the Packers, and let's see if we've missed anyone. And what time we got? 4 o'clock. Well, 5 to 4. 5 to 4 in this part of the world. Anybody watching in the UK right now? I think we probably got a lot of people in bed. Any UK folks still on board? Still keeping up? Yeah. All right. All right. So who's on the clock? Have we talked about that? How are the Buccaneers on the clock again? Every time I ask who's on the clock, it's the Bucs. At least it feels that way. How many picks do the Bucs have? Just want to see. 9 more picks, folks. I think I may have said that already. I may have said that a couple picks ago. Not very good with counting. Charles says Hicks is a top 5 safety, no doubt about it. Tremendous help. Wholly agree. 6'2", good cover guy. Oh, you're responding to the person that asked earlier. Sorry. Yes, Charles. I've Hicks is a guy I've, like I said, because of it. We've joked about this on the show a little bit. I became such a Dan Henley stan last year that I probably watched about 10 of his games. So I saw a ton of Hicks, but that's why I saw a lot of Brennan Jackson. That's why I saw a lot of Mawaga, who's a linebacker that transferred to Miami, who I think is going to be a good player. Even Ron Stone. Ron Stone will be an undrafted guy in this class, defensive end. I don't know if he'll be any good. I liked him. I thought he was solid in college. I thought him and Brennan Jackson were both good players. But Hicks, absolutely. In fact, when we did either our mock or our My Guy show, Chris took Hicks and his draft, and he said, "This one's for you, Glenn. I know this is one of your guys." And I've bounced back and forth between Hicks and Malik Mustafa. I like both guys a lot. I would be happy to have either of them. Let's see. Okay, that's all right. That's Lloyd. Oh, there we go. Jalen McMillan, another Washington man. They had so much talent on that team. They really did. Let me see real quick. And that one, yeah, that goes to Tampa Bay. So Tampa Bay adds another weapon for Baker Mayfield. He'll pair nicely with Mike Evans. And let's see. Trying to find something for the Jaden Hicks folks. This is one of my favorite plays from Jaden Hicks during the season. I tweeted this. When did I tweet this out? I don't know when I tweeted this out. Back in February. There's a little bit of Jaden Hicks for you. Just one play. What do we got? Who do we got? Ravens are on the clock. Maybe a linebacker or a running back. Who does I feel like the Ravens have had running back issues? Jalen Wright's a good player, but not. I don't know if he fits what they do. A little bit more power. Unless they, being totally honest, I've probably missed out on a fair few free agent signings, and I did it a couple times yesterday where I recommended a team take a player, and then somebody would remind me, nope, they signed this guy. They signed this guy. Let's see. All right. What do we got? Okay, so remaining teams who still have picks in the third round, we've got the Ravens, Eagles, Bills, Jags, the Bengals, Steelers, Rams, and the Commanders. Those are the remaining teams with picks. And we'll go through some best available. Well, we did that a minute ago, didn't we? TJ Tampa, still a top guy. Peyton Wilson, I'm not sure if I mentioned it on here. I know I've said it a million times, and I've heard him talk about it on the DraftCast. It's going to be his history of knee injuries will be an issue for some teams. Didn't I mention Adisa Isaac a couple minutes ago? Good pick. I think I said like 2 minutes ago, Adisa Isaac still being there and edge this late is a good pick. And there he goes to Baltimore. He had a couple of really good reps. I know it's only a couple reps, but he stood out. That was because I was familiar with him prior to the Senior Bowl, and then he had a couple of really good reps against Talib Fuaga at a time when Fuaga's stock was really starting to rise. In fact, I believe he did when Fuaga met with the media that day, and we had a chance to ask him some questions. Someone asked him, what he thought of his day, and he, to his credit, because a lot of times guys won't give credit because they don't want to acknowledge anything they did poorly. But he said Adisa Isaac gave him a hard time. He had a few good reps against him. So that's a good pick. Good pick for Baltimore. Really good with his hands. That was strong hands. Yeah. I like that pick for them. But I'm liking this though, folks. Liking some of what's still on the board. Like I said, I don't know that the Jets will go defense, but I think there are some defensive guys at this point who give really good value. Again, Jaden Hicks, not just value, but a need. Cam Hart, not a starter, but a need in terms of depth at that spot. You don't want to get caught short at corner. So that's in fact, once this wraps up, I will wrap up here, and then you can hop on jetnation.com in a little while, and I will have a list up of some of the best remaining options for the Jets. Jalen Wright, the running back, is still there. Again, I love him, but I love Izzy, and I feel like you're if you can get him later, fine, because as we've said, Joe Douglas has taken one every year. This might be the year he doesn't take a running back. Maybe they like Xavier Valade. I liked Valade last year. Um, Came out as UDFA, signed with a couple different teams, landed with the Jets, spent the whole offseason on their or spent the whole season on their practice squad. I mentioned Tracy earlier, Chris. I took him. No, I didn't take him in our mock. We only did 2 mocks. We don't do a million mocks. I think it's weird. Jalix Hunt, watched him a little bit. Didn't strike me as being as good as some of the hype, but maybe it's just me. I don't know. I mean, they're showing him make a play here, which, to be fair, he gets a sack, but completely unblocked. He's just lined up wide 9 and just sprints to the quarterback. Nobody gets in his way. Again, maybe I'm wrong on him, but didn't love him. But where was I? I was saying with the running backs, maybe this is the year they don't. Oh, that's right. We were talking about Tracy out of Purdue. We don't do a million mocks. I didn't take him in my mock, but we did do a My Guys episode where we listed a guy at each position who we really liked, who isn't getting enough hype, and we would pound the table for. Tracy was one for me. Converted receiver, so catches the ball really well. Excellent contact balance, really good after first contact. I would, if like I said, I love Wright because just Jalen Wright, so explosive, like home run threat every time he touches the ball. But for a more balanced guy who you can probably get late day 3, and again, that's off the projections. Somebody might take him with the next pick, Tyrone Tracy, but I would gladly take him. I like him a lot. And the kickoff rule is what's going to be interesting. That you think most teams are probably going to take at least one guy who offers something as a return man. I mentioned Anthony Gould out of Oregon State, LaDietrich Griffin out of Mississippi State. Those are some guys who speedy receivers who might latch on as return guys, but they may think they already have a guy in the roster who can do that, right? All right, so that was the Eagles. Took Jalix Hunt. Bills are on the clock. And who said, let's say the Jets could use next year's 3rd to go up and get Jaden Hicks. I like TJ Tampa and Devontae Walker. Yeah, I don't think they'll take back-to-back receivers here, Charles. But I like Walker, but I don't think they'll take another one. Oh, Dwayne Carter, okay. Mentioned him a little bit ago as a potential pick for the Jets. If he was still there tomorrow, he will not be there tomorrow. He goes to the Bills. Like I said, plays a little bit inside, plays a little bit outside. Big dude. Yeah, that's nice job by them. I haven't looked at their again, I haven't looked at it team by team, but I'm curious. Now I want to look at the Bills because I know they've taken a couple guys that I like. At least a couple that I like. Keon Coleman, good value in that spot. 40 time was overrated. Okay, so that's the 3 guys they've taken. Coleman, Bishop, who I really loved, Cole Bishop, and now Dwayne Carter. So yeah, good job by the Bills. They're having a nice draft. Ravens get Wiggins, Rosengarten, Isaac. Good job. Falcons. Let's not talk about that. Now, I like a row. I think Trice might be a little I don't know. I felt like he didn't live up to the hype. Good Lord, who are we looking at here? Arizona. They picked a million guys. Let's see. Love Darius Robinson. Max Melton's a nice pick. Trey Benson, I didn't realize I did see that pick. Yeah. They got Isaiah Adams, one of my guys. I'll tell you what. I like that class. Elijah Jones. But as I said, really like Ryman, really like Adams. You can't dislike Benson, 4.38 40, explosive. Robinson, versatile, 285, can play inside and outside. It's a good class for them. We'll look at all of them at some point and see if anybody jumps out as having a particularly bad draft. What's Denver doing? Sean Payton. He's got Bo Nix, which kind of, I think we all thought that would happen. Oh, they didn't have a 2 either, right? Jonah Ellis. Green Bay, Jordan Morgan, Edge Cooper, Javon Bullard, Marshawn Lloyd. Good 2 linebackers and a safety. All right. Melton, Dom C, if you're familiar with Dom C, he's a big Melton guy. And Cam Hart. He and I talked about Cam Hart at the Senior Bowl a little bit. And he's been banging that drum since the Senior Bowl. And I think he's another one of those guys, right? We talk about sometimes whether it's prospect fatigue, like for whatever reason, I felt like Cam Hart was getting a lot more press last year than he got this year. And he didn't play poorly this year, played well. So he just, for some reason, it's like people get tired of talking about a guy and they fall off the map. Mike Renner saying perhaps Johnny Wilson here to the Jags. Again, interesting guy, 6'7". Who doesn't want a 6'7" receiver? That some people said, oh, he's going to move to tight end. I think he plays well enough at receiver to stay at receiver. It's the hands. It's the hands. It's the number of drops. Otherwise, I would have loved for the Jets to grab him. Yeah, Johnny Wilson's got the physical attributes to be a force. He just doesn't catch the football often enough, which is generally frowned upon. How many picks we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 picks to go. Jags, Bengals, Steelers, Rams, Commanders. What time is it? We got 10 minutes past 4 in the morning. Let's see. Yeah, Jags up now. Oh, good pick for them. Jerry and Jones. Add him to the list of folks who I didn't watch until recently. Came away very impressed. His ability to turn and run with receivers on deep routes. Really, really nice player. Let's see. Yeah, Jerry and Jones, man. Four, 3, 8. Yeah, like I said, he can turn and run on deep routes, and I didn't realize he was sub 4.4, but I knew he could move. Excuse me. What is it? Yeah, it's just after 4, right? Got the Play Like a Jet post-draft wrap-up after this draft wrap-up at about 5. And in fact, man, yeah. I don't know if I mentioned that with Jones, slot guy, more of a slot, but still, like I said, really good corner. Yeah, good player. Oh, that one hurts. That one hurts. That stings. Ah, damn it. Cincinnati Bengals take McKinley Jackson. Follow me on Twitter. I was tweeting about him mid last season, or maybe it was last off season. saying this dude was going to be my favorite DT coming into this season. Ah, man. Spoke to him at the Senior Bowl. The only guy at the draft that or the only guy at the Senior Bowl, everyone I spoke to, just get in, polite, shake hands, quick few questions, and then leave him alone. McKinley Jackson, it was the only dude I was like, I hope you're a Jet next year. I want you lined up next to Quinnen Williams. Listen, I'm biased. I watched him last year and thought, man, this guy, you're not going to see. And I said this to him. I said, you're not going to see huge sack numbers from you, but so disruptive. Really good player, really powerful, good pad level. Man, that's not a fan of that, but what can you do? McKinley Jackson, good pick, Cincinnati. Damn. Let's see. This might. Let's see. Let's see. Let's show you some McKinley Jackson if you haven't seen him. Man. Get you some McKinley Jackson here. Start it from the back. He's at the left defensive tackle spot. Looks like he's going to get blocked up. Keeps his eyes double teamed, splits those guys, gets to the back. Man. We can get that one down. See if we got another one. I mean, I have a ton of McKinley Jackson, probably too much. Steelers are up. Let's see. There goes Peyton Wilson. There's a good fit. Good fit. We'll give you one more McKinley Jackson, and then I'll give you a great Peyton Wilson. It wasn't the same play, was it? Same game. Yeah, look at that. Stands the center up, holds up at the point of attack, disengages as the running back comes through, and he gets the stop. On the nose. Look at that. Stands him right up. Nice job. McKinley Jackson. Good player. Good player for Cincinnati. And let's show you some more. Show you some Peyton Wilson. Let's see. Oh, that was the wrong button. Let's go. Here we go. I want to find one play against Florida State when he chases a guy down about 1,000,000 yards, but you can see the speed. Here we go. This is from the end zone view. Watch this one. Let's get it back to the beginning. So here's right here in the middle. Watch how much ground he covers on this play. And there was actually a better one. That looks like, is that Notre Dame? There was an FSU one where he covers even more ground than he did in that one. See if I can find that one real fast for you. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, this is an absolute steal. Peyton Wilson, to some people, was the best backer in this class. Again, his age and injury history is what hurt him. Let's see, anticipation. This might be it. I think this is Peyton Wilson from both angles. Yeah, this is it. Nope, this is the same play. For some reason, I thought it was. There's another play that I have somewhere. Those are not the plays, or that's not the play. It's still a hell of a job, though. There's a second angle. Yeah. Cam Kinchin, safety. Listen, we love it, don't we? And I'm not saying who's going to work out and who's not, but we got to love it when we get guys that you're like, oh, I don't want that guy. And someone takes it. I have nothing against Cam Kinchins, but I don't know that I don't know that he can cover as well as the Jets are going to want their safeties to cover. Big time hitter, no doubt about that. And he's, plays with his hair on fire, fun guy to watch. Nothing against him. I just think for what the Jets are going to want their safeties to do, I don't think he would have been a good fit. So take them. Take the guys that you don't want. Let's see if we have anything on Kinchins while we're here. Last couple plays, or last couple picks, I should say. Look, here's him. Here's the effort from him. Big time pursuit. Let's get over here. Right, there's sneaks in behind the blockers. Sneaks in behind the blockers here and gets that stop. Like I said, plays with his hair on fire. I should have some he has enough big hits that I should have some here. Let's take a look in the files. Let's see what we got. Like I said, we got one pick left. Deep reads, pursuit. I think this is a screen. He sniffs out a screen play, gets a stop. Another hiccup on the tape there. Here he's right here, number 5. Yeah, see, he reads that perfect read, gets there, wraps him up, tosses him out of bounds. So again, not a bad player, but just not the guy that I'd want in that spot. Let's see. Charles says he doesn't like New England picking behind us. It's going to happen. Or you don't like picking right behind New England. Nothing we do about that, right? Stuff happens, and just got to do what you got to do. And let me see. Let's take a look. Round 4. Yeah. And they aren't they? Pats are at 110, Jets at 111. Can't worry about it, though. You got to, control what you can control. What do we got here? Damn it. Tough as nails, high character, great bloodlines. Luke McCaffrey. We'll give you a little Luke McCaffrey before we wrap it up. Let's see. All right, there we go. I want to find. This is from the overhead shot. Let's go with this one. One-handed TD catch. And this is a guy who just started playing wide receiver. Number 10. Look, and the DB is right there. The DB is right there with him. You can't tell me he's got a very good view of that ball coming down. Sticks out one arm, makes the catch. And the toughness. And that's what, when I spoke to him in Mobile, that was the first thing I said to him. I said, your toughness stands out on film. Watch, I'll see if I have it here. He has a touchdown that he scores against Texas. And what you love, they're down by like 1 million. And this kid makes this play. Again, let me make sure I have it. Let's see. Okay, let's see. I think this is it. This is against Texas. Look at this shot he takes. I think it's another one where the helmet comes off. and he just jumps up, celebrates 37-3. See, full speed doesn't do it justice. Take my word for it. He took an absolute shot on this play. Helmet comes off, holds onto the football. Let's try to watch it again. Get it now that you know where it's going to be in this area down here. Yeah, this dude lit him up. 15, I think. Yeah, no, 16 lit him up. But he holds on for the score. Played quarterback. He started his college career at quarterback. And then he ended up at wide receiver for Rice, where he did a really nice job. So good for him. McCaffrey goes, but still plenty of talent on the board. Jets will pick. What are we at? What do they have now tomorrow? Do they have 3-4s tomorrow? I believe they have 3-4s, right? Yeah, sure they have 3-4s because they gave up 5 in the deal. Let's see. Let's look at exactly. They've got pick 11, pick 29, and pick 34 in the 4th round tomorrow. Make all 3. Use all 3. Get some players. That'll wrap this one up. Jets fans, thanks for hanging out. I wasn't even sure how long I was going to hang around. I thought log in, get to the Jets picks, and see how you feel. Yep. 3-4s tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes. Could trade and move up if there's maybe you take someone at 11 who you love, and then you love somebody else, and you package 29 and 34, move up again and get 2 guys you love in the 4th, and then you got 6 and 7. Come away from the draft with what would that give you? 5 guys, 6 guys, whatever it may be. Get some more players. Good job today. They got a good one in Corley, one of our favorites on Jet Nation Radio. We talked about him extensively. As I said, Google Jet Nation Malachi Corley profile, and you will find the player profile Dylan Terman wrote on him. And same for Olu Fashanu. Jet Nation Olu Fashanu project prospect profile. You can just do prospect profile. Olu Fashanu and Malachi Corley, both up there. They've been up there for weeks. Have a good one, Jets fans.